Thank you so very much, Ellie. Not even first loser. I thought at least maybe I would slide in at second, but while I don't get the victory and Ellie can walk away with pride for being the Steps winner, I would say a pretty good consolation prize, T90, is casting series number 5, TheViper versus DauT, and to do it with you.
Oh, my goodness. You said you had something prepared. That was it? Oh, man, I got chills. Well, I mean, is it a consolation prize if you're third place?
It's technically podium.
Okay.
Hey, bronze medal, you know,
true.
We'll take it. We'll take it. But let's talk about this series because I think for many it's going to feel like a marquee matchup.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's happening at the end of day 1.
Yep. Yeah, it's such a good matchup. These two go way back, both in the games and in terms of what they've accomplished, but also their friendship. I don't think we have the ability to put them on camera right now, but they are sitting next to each other. DauT sat down in where the winners would sit for the interview and said, I'm warming up my chair for after the series, and that just the banter back and forth the whole time here has been fantastic. And this is just like because these two have been the best of friends and also elite competitors for 10+ years.
Rest assured, the joking, the ribbing, the poking fun at has been taking place since the two of them entered the apartment. And in fact, while they were sitting in those chairs, T90, there was some discussion about their very draft, which we're getting our first look at now.
Yeah, I mean, Viper said, because DauT had never seen that interview with Viper, and he's like, turn it up. What is he saying about me? And Viper's like, all I said was like, we have pretty similar styles. And DauT immediately said, if we have pretty similar styles, you screwed up your draft. So apparently, DauT seems to think that Viper's gone for very different focus here. And you can kind of see that it is quite different. Copenhagen's very late game type of closed map. High Tides can be pretty open, pretty aggressive. And then Viper's gone for Arabia and Tide Pool. So very different maps here.
And I think it's even important for us to maybe reiterate a little bit about how the draft itself functions, because a lot of people are going to see a whole lot of red boxes there and go, what the heck is going on? 22 bans per series, 10 of which are admin bans, 12 of which are player bans, 6 apiece. Now, all of that said, there's an interesting mechanic in the draft itself.
Viper
oh, my goodness.
Is holding a photo of DauT
and the thumbs down. Get in his head, Viper.
He's looking into the wrong camera right now, but it still gets the point across.
DauT doesn't seem to be shaking at all. He's been around this ride once or twice. But interestingly enough, in this in the format of this draft, each player has the opportunity to make an early pick.
Yeah.
Right, and I think there's some consideration for whether or not players are going to lunge for a strategy that they've specifically, worked up for this matchup or this series. And would you be willing to spend an early pick on a Civ like that versus just taking a traditional power pick of a Civ?
It's tricky. So, there's other elements to it. You're picking your first Civ before you know any of the maps that are picked.
Right.
So you could then see that someone's picked a Civ, let's say it's good on hybrid, like Persians, and then not draft a civilization that you feel is going to suit hybrid well. Now, Persians do. I think Viper will have no problems with that, but it's different. So you combine that with then the player tendencies and the mind games because they know each other so well and they know each other's preferences, and it just makes for a very interesting series here. So I think just looking at that draft, I do feel as though Viper's first pick isn't immediately very clear. I think Persians can be strong on High Tides. They could maybe be played on Arabia. But DauT's Malay seems to fit a little bit more for at least one of the maps, like Copenhagen or maybe even Tide Pool. So yeah, I find that very interesting. And I think between these two, we don't even know the layers of complexity in mind games because there's strategy discussions that happen, there's practice games that happen, and all it takes is that one game to live in someone's mind where one Civ was used in a certain way. And then they're like, well, he's going to expect me to pick that, so I won't pick it. But then he's going to expect me not to pick it, so I will pick it. It just falls apart.
Not only that, to your point, it can be that one game that makes the difference in the series, and that's where I'll go to the history of these two players. And while it will come as no surprise to anyone that the Viper has come out on top more often than DauT in this matchup, and did come out on top in their last NAC meeting.
Yeah.
It might have been a closer series than most people remember, being 4-3 in the playoff bracket and just one game going the other direction. as we've talked about, you've got that one little strategy up your sleeve, and all of a sudden, DauT could be walking away with this one with a big smile on his face.
That was kind of the storyline from that series with DauT, and honestly, I think that sometimes, unfortunately for DauT, the storyline where he was just that one game away, like where the strategy was good, but maybe the execution failed or one moment happened. He won 2-0 against Viper in that playoff series last time.
Mm-hmm.
So he was up 2-0.
Right.
And then Viper won 3 straight, and then DauT tied it up, and it went to the 7th game where ultimately Viper won. So there is an aspect to this. I have a question.
Okay, hit me.
Okay. So that was in the playoffs. That was win or you're out.
Correct.
Right? This is Swiss stage day 1. Do you think there is like less intensity to the match? And if you do, which I would say there probably is, because you've got to bail out. You've got additional days. Do you think that hurts or helps someone like DauT? I think DauT thrives through the super intense, like win or go home moments. And if it's not quite as intense, maybe he won't be able to find that like super elite level DauT.
I think I would generally agree with you. I hate to agree with you on your first point because I like to believe. That every player steps up to every single match playing with the utmost intensity.
Yeah.
We know that's not true. I've talked to many players across multiple esports who can all say, while I too would like to believe I'm giving it my all, knowing that there's that second chance sometimes, even within a series itself. Game 1's not going your way, sometimes you give it up a little sooner.
Yes,
but if it's the 5th and final game, then you're going to drag it out. You're going to look for that 1% opportunity. But away we go into our final best of 5 of the day here on day 1 of the group stage. DauT versus Viper. We've got Burgundians versus the Huns.
Yeah, so 2 very different civilizations here. The key I'm going to say about the map real quick is just a reminder that the stone and the gold is outside of their little starting bubble. We have seen players play it so safe on this map that they don't even leave that little bubble for a while if they're just going to go for farms, even building the mill inside of here to not go out and take the berries. So I wouldn't expect that. I think they're going to be fighting for map control, but Burgundians are a civ that are typically very greedy. Huns are a civ that's typically very aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
So traditionally we've seen it more with the Slavs or the Poles, but maybe DauT just goes for the inner mill and goes for a crazy wooden food eco.
And are you thinking then you're just trying to play a greedy fast castle off of that with
maybe
either
make
selling
some,
for the
maybe
market
make
or
some
something
scouts,
like that?
Make some spears. Like you compete for the map a little bit.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, and that DauT as well is also known for using the market a lot too. So you got some options.
And likewise, I think Viper then would be very happy to be the aggressor in that situation, go forward with a spear and a couple of archers and just start to poke around the berries, things like that, make it a little messy. I will recall T90, that it's this very map that at the last NAC provided you and I with the longest game of the tournament. Now, it was Mr. Yo versus HTCM, but it was like a 2.5-hour game. So this is game 1 of the series. Are you ready? Are you ready to commit?
The PTSD just crept right
That's
back.
what I'm saying. Your face turned red. Did you go to the bathroom? Because we might be locking in for quite some time here.
I would hope in this matchup that that's not the case.
Yeah.
It is. Yo and ACCM is probably the recipe for the longest game of the tournament every time. But yeah, that's true, man. I forgot about that.
I'll never forget about that.
Well, DauT knows. I'd never seen you get, because you're so positive and so happy. You just kept getting more and more disappointed almost.
The deflation. Watching just all of the energy leave my body.
Yeah. Well. We're going to see Viper goes out for the mill. DauT did the same here. So none of the super safe farming eco we were talking about. And this is likely a scout opening. But I think something that the Burgundians could... Is DauT scouting with a pig?
Is he giving a pig?
What?
Wow. Is that confidence? What is that? Is that confidence? Is that...
No, I think, okay, I'm guessing, like, so if you set waypoints on pigs too deep into the wood line...
Oh, they'll
sometimes go...
take the shortest route
So
to
I think DauT just straight up forgot about that pig.
Okay.
It's not like you need to find your opponent. You just look for where the wood creates that little C shape. So
right.
I think that's just a misplay from DauT.
Yeah, and ultimately, going to be unimportant to the results of the game. It is just a funny quirk. As we see the barracks going down for each player's getting those initial safe walls up, right, so as to protect their wood and potential food ecos. And then it's just going to be all about the control around those more important rare resources outside of that stone ring.
So Burgundians are really difficult to play in an extended feudal age because they lack bloodlines. So that's going to be the civ that wants to get to Castle Age as fast as possible. Viper may choose to try and create that type of really long feudal age so he can force the scout v scout engagement with bloodlines. Burgundians as well are not going to have great Cav Archer switch as an option, which is pretty common these days, and Huns do. So I think DauT's got to get to Castle Age at a good time and be able to play through light Cav and Knights here. And if he can do that in combination with good eco, that's how the Burgundians are going to win.
And it will be no surprise that the Burgundians have the better eco. We already see Bosa coming in as well on top of the farm upgrade. And so the question will be, can Viper put on enough pressure to kind of punish a little bit, maybe the greed in terms of the investment into the eco? Or will DauT be able to play a solid defense? We have those spears coming forward, archers or scouts soon to follow.
Both golds are pretty awkward here. Again, you can't wall in the rock terrain if we didn't mention that. So you can't wall to your TC, and those main golds are near hills. It's wide open spaces there. So they're going to have to fight for that control. And DauT on point there with his scout micro is going to back away. And Viper actually clicking in front. And
let the nerding begin.
I think it was Ganji recently talking to me, and he joked. He said, against any other player, you could probably try to click faster. Against DauT, you probably get the kill or something like that. So DauT proving Ganji wrong. Nice job from DauT.
Either way, actually, just in the last series alone, a bit of a behind-the-scenes look for y'all. We were having a conversation about how much more spectacular scouting is nowadays at the high level, and how much harder it is to get away with things because of the general uptick in scouting ability by different players. And right here, we're seeing it. DauT's not going to get surprised by anything. Those four scouts could be deadly if you didn't manage to track them. Granted, this map is a little bit easier to find pressure coming in because it's got to split around the wood lines one way or the other. But so far, no damage found for either player, and that's where I look back at the Burgundians and that small eco advantage that they're going to start to build. And if he can make his way to the Castle Age without any punishment, he might be a lock for this game.
Yeah, so the interesting thing now is Viper's going to prep an Archer switch, and Viper already is going to have 2 to 3 more scouts. So heavy numbers from Viper. He hasn't actually relied on many spearmen at all, just that one forward spear. DauT needs to somehow recognize those archers are coming, or just be fully prepared, with additional scout numbers. But when you're already behind by 2 scout numbers, and then the archers are going to come, this could be really tricky.
One thing we see fairly often on this map, or at least in the past, is the willingness to drop a defensive tower. I think that's a possibility for DauT if he wants to, abstain from having to either produce skirms or something in defense of those archers.
Obviously, it's not ideal to place a tower because then you delay your TC, but it's also not ideal to have to play heavy skirm war against Hun scouts.
Right.
So I think if the time presents itself, I think it's a smart play. But DauT has not been at Viper's base in like 2 to 3 minutes right now. So he's advancing into the darkness. He doesn't know the archers are already coming out. And Viper's going to see those, and he's going to be like, oh, yeah, got my scouts here. And I think DauT just sees the archer now. Like, this is so awkward for DauT.
Oof. And those scout numbers, I mean, only 2 spears. Well, yeah, you don't necessarily want to take that fight. It's a fight you would willingly take to trade off those spears and find some damage. DauT even electing not to bring his scouts back in defense. This is quite a risk.
Yeah, and he was hoping to catch out the reinforcement there because Viper was still sending army forward. But Viper's played this perfectly. Just those 2 archers will take out any of the defensive spears, from DauT at home. And now DauT should know that he's going to be in trouble. And there's the tower. This is a good play from DauT.
Yeah, and he does still have 3 spears in defense. It looks like Viper's going to think better of committing underneath the tower. This will protect both the berries and the gold. We're going to see that blacksmith coming up as well. Viper, though, saying, maybe it's time for me to turn my attention onto your production buildings, though. Threaten that farm eco.
There's actually a chance that that's 1 scout in there, and that DauT will greed it out the Castle Age. So this is actually kind of nice for Viper. He's applying enough pressure where DauT's going to have to react because he's going to break in otherwise. But also Viper gets to find out soon exactly how much DauT is investing. There's 5 scouts in there. He's getting forging, and his other scouts seem to be looping home here. So DauT
5 spears now.
DauT could clear this. He's getting forging. And, Viper's getting forging and bloodlines. Big upgrades.
Where are those archers? Did those archers manage to come?
There's 2 right there.
2 of them right there, tucked in. 2 more on the way. They're going to have to target down the spears, but it looks like maybe DauT has the jump. Looking for the fight. The scouts are coming in, and they will look to clean up the first couple of archers. The spears struggling to close the gap, and Viper's doing a phenomenal job of clearing up those spears, but it's still looking pretty solid for DauT if the micro is there and the cleanup. Remember, forging just now coming in for the Viper, so not getting the advantage of that until this moment, but with that, still has the numbers, and a 4-3 are the remaining numbers in the end. A fairly even trade.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting one to break down. I think they both invested a lot into it. That could have been so much worse for DauT, but I also think he never expected Bloodlines to be in there. I think when he took the fight, he took it thinking he would have forging, Viper would have no upgrades. So really good job from Viper to get that. At the same time, Viper's only killed one villager this game. He now doesn't have a follow-up army, and the Burgundians are on stable units. Most likely head to Castle Age a little bit faster. So this is kind of what we wanted to see for the Burgundian game plan as far as DauT's perspective is concerned.
Yeah, DauT's making use of his favorite building in the game, the market, to accelerate himself to the Castle Age, under 100 food away from being able to click up. And while he does have to push these scouts away, would like to not lose that villager, but in the end it does go down.
That's
does
really
trade
nice.
off most of the scouts and the majority of the scout health. And it looks like Viper's going to go to that very classic 3 archery range for the Huns, looking towards the Castle Age himself and Cav Archer play.
I really want to see DauT continue to make scouts here. You want to take advantage of cheap light Cav. And yeah, he's going to queue up another scout. I like this. I think now that he can't go for that second TC, I think even a second stable would feel very natural. And Viper, we see it all the time. He's got the Huns. It's great you don't have to build the houses, but you also can't quick wall or protect yourself as much. So we've seen Huns, especially when the economies get a bit greater, have so much exposed eco and not be walled up. So if DauT breaks in, even through palisade walls, which is very realistic, Viper could have some big problems.
Let's see here, even more eco upgrades. The second gold upgrade already here for DauT. That's going to bring in a lot of income.
Wow, that's...
Do you stay just like Cav, or are you mixing in Knights as well?
Well, I actually was thinking, and maybe you were as well, that if he's going second gold upgrade, I know it's cheaper, maybe he just goes Cavalier.
Oh.
Because you get the cheap Cavalier upgrade. But if you're going to do that, I think you need 3 stables, because you need 1 to research and you need 2 to produce. Having just 1 unit producing is kind of awkward there, so we'll see.
In that case, are you essentially committing yourself to 1 TC all-in, though, because of that investment of resources?
Yep, I think so. DauT may end up... This is what we're talking about. These scouts are going to get through. Viper's going to go for some crazy quick walls here. But DauT may, honestly, I think he's just too tempted to do it in these situations. Just buy the stone. Buy 100 stone and drop the TC here. He's not producing any more scouts. We'll see if he produces Knights. There's Knights now.
Okay.
But he's still got that leftover gold he's not spending. Oh, he's going Siege Workshop. Can Viper see that?
And he's going chain barding as well. So he's committing to the upgrades on the Knights. Viper does have vision, though, of that Siege Workshop, so he's not going to get surprised, at least by the forward.
You're going to be really tempted to go for a Ram here. If not a Ram, you might be thinking Scorpion. But if Viper sees that, and Viper's at least shown DauT that he knows about that now with that Spearman, I think you've got to go, you've just got to go for Mangonel numbers to just push down buildings. It could be really awkward otherwise. Viper's going to make DauT work.
Those vills are dead.
Well, they're weak scouts. But you're right, there's no support here. There's a Knight now. This is not good for these vills. It's not good for the siege push. I think DauT was just not counting on being spotted here.
Yeah, maybe thinking Element Surprise was going to be working in his favor, but 1 tile placement, too far forward puts you in range, and the Viper will capitalize on that vision. We have the Cav Archers chasing down the villagers. It looks like DauT is going to try and defend here with some of the Knights, but we've essentially stopped the push before it started in a lot of ways.
Yeah, and credit to Viper, he's queuing up a lot of Knights. It was not part of his plan, but he has the eco for it, so why not? And DauT with the quick walls on a villager that's destined to die anyways. And DauT's going to be feeling the same. He's going to be feeling that his push has never got started and that he's going to either have to bail on it or just continue to commit more to an otherwise dying push.
Yeah, and the really tough thing about this position is you don't have the option to fall back on adding TCs perhaps and playing more defensively because you committed that stone to the tower early, and making use of the market just means you're going to get overwhelmed by cheap Cav Archers here on the side of the Viper. We already see that number climbing up in double digits for Cav Archers up against just, groups of 3 Knights.
Yeah,
it's going to be really difficult at this point.
It's super tough. Yeah, I mean, DauT's going to try. He's trying to get his numbers collected, trying to split up the Knights to hit different areas, but Viper's got ballistics now, and he just looks so comfortable, right? Like, we've seen Viper in this position so many times. If he's not struggling early, and he's got the mobile units, he's just going to pick you apart. And it's good patience as well to just camp that Siege Workshop. Because you don't want to chase the Knights too far and then have the Siege surprise you, or maybe you lose track of the Knights. Just take care of that Siege Workshop first and foremost.
Yeah, amazingly clean play here from the Viper, and now that he feels he's gotten control of the forward from DauT, he's going to drop that second TC and take what is already a very strong eco advantage of 49 to 40 villagers and just push it even
like
further.
That's just right there, Viper tracking those two Knights. That's not always easy to do. DauT has tried to loop around a bunch of different times, and Viper's always firing and always tracking it. So he hasn't allowed DauT to distract him. And now he backs up immediately. He doesn't get hit. The Knights will dive. The Mangonel will probably be killed by the CA. And now there's just a couple Scorpions, which could potentially help. But I still think Viper is going to be fine to add another Knight or two here to deal with that.
Exactly. I mean, they are finding good shots. I'm impressed that these three Scorpions are finding purchase onto the Cav Archers, but the numbers at this point just seem too big to overcome. We've got the Monk coming forward as well to threaten those Cavalier. Eventually, the Scorpions will be microed down.
Look at that Cav Archer. That Cav Archer just getting moved away, pulling down out of position. Scorpions going down. I've seen cleaner fights from Viper. I think he would have wanted an extra Knight here.
He's getting raided.
Oh. Is he?
Yeah, in his base, I see.
Ooh.
So maybe
okay.
a little bit of distraction
Yeah.
at play there, getting pulled around as he's trying to drop that extra TC and defend here at home while dealing with those Scorps. And as you say, not the most efficient trade in the end, but even if you ultimately break into a near even game state at the end of all of that, that second TC alone still means that the Viper has an advantage.
And also the units that are being lost, Hun CA are dirt cheap.
Right.
And that you might be able to get Cavalier and Castle Age, but it's not like the units are any cheaper here for Burgundian. So
Moonwalk.
Moonwalking Cavalier, he's happy to have survived.
Look, if you can't beat them, style on them.
Yeah,
that's what I always say, right?
Yep.
Yeah, show them what you made of.
How does DauT stop this counterattack? If those Cav Archers go underneath that tower, as Viper built a gate to block off from his Monk, this could be such a big problem. Viper should just dive the tower here.
Yeah, this could be game ending right here if he does decide to commit. There's just one Cavalier and one Spearman there. Does look like the TC will make it up before the Cavalier, or the Cav Archers rather, spot it. So a bit of safety for the villagers that are just now dropping that TC onto stone.
And Viper's going to kill 1, 2, 3 Vills on that. Then the TC will go up. And Viper has left his base exposed, and all he has to defend is Monks. He goes for one conversion, gets it. He goes for the second and the third. I've seen this from DauT many times. DauT was just thinking, hopefully he doesn't convert me. But those were pretty clear conversions.
He wasn't devoted.
Yeah, it wasn't devoted.
He wasn't devoted.
I mean, I think we've all been there, right? Where you're frustrated in a game and you hope you need a little bit of luck.
Yep.
Monks do have some variance, so you're just hoping that the luck is on your side.
Yeah, but I mean, we talk about this all the time. At the highest level, sometimes players can almost be made to look foolish by going for the only winning play.
Yeah, true.
And it's because they understand that while it is low percentage, it is still their best percentage. But with a couple of those last-ditch efforts there failing to materialize into any real advantage, DauT decides to call it. And the series score will move to 1-0 in favor of the Viper.
I think it would be an amazing idea the next time these two play to LAN to have them mic'd up. Because, after the games, I want to hear what they're saying. Because they talk to each other so much, right? You won't see that in other matchups. A lot of players just keep their mouths shut. But these two just talk and talk.
You see it right now.
It's almost like they may even be talking, like Viper might even be telling him like what went wrong. Or, or that's not a good matchup or whatever. But DauT's initial comments after something happens are always hilarious. So,
you know what's interesting is
I don't know what he said, but
while I'm sure those kinds of discussions take place across many sports, I find it interesting. One that happens, as you mentioned, between these two quite often. Chess would be another sport where I seem to feel like it very traditional amongst high-level players to kind of show that respect at the end of the game, to discuss it and say, okay, here's I saw a moment where I thought maybe if you had done this, or that you could have worked it out. Either way, like you say, teammates and friends for so long, they're not going to hold back.
I also think
with giving each other feedback.
I'd have to double check, but I remember the intensity being like tangible when DauT and Viper were walking into the hall into that room last time. So it would not surprise me if it's different, that it's day one group stage. But kind of back to what we said before.
Right.
Like it was absolute war before, They both had the death glare staring at their monitors, wouldn't look to the other. So
right.
I think it's a little bit different there. But I will say that I think on DauT's draft, we'll need to double check this. I don't think Burgundians were super high priority. He would have wanted the win, of course, but I think DauT, he knows he's not going to 3-0 Viper. I think if he's going to beat him, he's going to win 3-1, 3-2. So
it's never easy.
Maybe that was one that he's
DauT.
Yeah, I think hopefully you can shake that off. I think where that hurts is if it's your top pick going down. But.
All right. Well, DauT looking to even it up in our next game. They're going to take a moment to reset and retool for that second game. We're going to step away for a quick break, and we'll come right back and get you back into the series.
And now, a word from our partners. Back then, a pocket watch told you the time, if it wasn't broken, that is. Today, the Hammer smartwatches do so much more. From monitoring your health to managing your schedule, and even keeping you on time for the next Age of Empires final, everything is just a glance away. And they do it in magnificent style. Make more of your time. Hammer.
Can confirm. Magnificent style. The only thing I'm upset about is that DauT hasn't called me. I need a DauT phone call, bro.
Maybe if the cast is good enough, give you a call afterwards.
Yes,
I have a feeling the chances will increase if DauT wins the series. So he may
That's
call
a really
you.
good point. All right. Well, then, let's maybe talk about, how he can make that happen. Because it is no secret that this is not the position you want to start in. But also, too, when we talk about that one game, we talk about the 4-3. We talk about how many times DauT has come that close.
Yep.
It gets really difficult when map 1, the admin pick, is the one that you drop, right? Because if everything goes to chalk from that point forward, Viper still wins.
Wow. Okay, so speaking of the first pick, they have both gone for their number 1 picks game 2. Persians, Malay were the number 1 picks on their draft. I think actually you were touching on the bans, but this is still game number 2. You want a momentum swing, you win game number 2, and then you also eliminate the others' first civilization here. So we got Tide Pool, DauT in the red yet again, as the Malay, which honestly I think we need to show the people once a doc comes up just how much vision you get from a Malay doc. It's really satisfying. And then Viper's gone for Persians, which I think is also incredible. Maybe less so for the water, but as they're pushing deer, and maybe we're seeing a distinct difference between the efficiency of the deer pushes here. Persians should be the best at combining land with water. Malay should be the best here at going for primarily water.
Now, all that said, earlier today, we had a Malay pick on this very map that decided to go essentially all in elephants.
Oh, yes, true.
Which was a really interesting curveball.
Yeah.
But again, there's even a point to be made about at these tournaments, sometimes a strategy gets revealed by one player, irrespective of this set.
Yeah.
But now, at least the Viper is aware that that is a possibility, right?
Yeah,
and
it's in his mind.
Becomes that much harder to pull off something ingenious like that.
Can I tell a story which is kind of similar along those lines? I think is very interesting.
Absolutely.
Okay, so last NAC was the last big LAN event for Jordan, right? Jordan since retired. Okay, so Jordan was here at the event. We all miss him dearly. And he's very close with Tato, DauT, and whatnot. And at one point, it's playoffs, I'm pretty sure. I believe it was like first day of playoffs, right? And Jordan's down. I forget who he's playing against. I could find the info. He walks out to the rest area with all of us, chilling out. Tato's sitting next to me. And he goes, "Tato, can I show it?" And Tato's like, "Yes, of course." He's like, "Are you sure? Can I show it?" Jordan had a strat that Tato had showed him. It was Tato's idea, and in playoffs, Jordan was like, "It wouldn't be cool of me to be the guy to debut this." You know what I mean? And so you just made me think of that, and I just got all feelsy thinking about that. That was such a cool freaking moment of Jordan to do that. That's epic. To your point, I don't think Malay Elephants is like a planned strat in the same way. I think it's a little bit more adaptive. But you're right. It should be more on Viper's mind. Dogao, when I talked to him about that, was like, "Yeah, I saw the stables, and I kind of thought it'd be siege push with light cav, but Next time he's up against 3 stables, he's going to think about it now.
Yeah, it was full all-in elephants. We had 12 elephants coming out of those stables nice and early. But you're exactly right that a lot of that was a response to the commitment on water from DauT, right? And so, okay, you're going to go water, I'll go land, take your base. And that certain situation may not present itself this time around. Now, the timings here are pretty interesting.
Yeah, so DauT may be delaying clicking up.
It's melee, obviously.
He is melee. This could be a fast castle build.
Quite the delay, right?
Yeah. So from what we've seen, if players are back docking, they might be considering a fast castle. And I think the series with ACCM and Hera had that. Mm-hmm. And if players are front docking, usually they're playing more for the feudal age approach here.
Yeah, well, we'll have to see. Loom coming in now here for DauT, and I mean, just floating so much food.
Yeah.
Of course, still needing to invest into the feudal age.
Is he missing it? He's adding another Vil. He's really adding the Vils here. But does he know what Viper is doing right now? He may be scared of Viper, and Viper seems to know he's not up yet. So Viper's like, hold on a second.
Yeah.
I got to go more aggressive than I was initially thinking.
Is DauT fully aware that Viper's docked middle? Is that why he's?
I think DauT is scared because if any scout encounters him, he will lose. But I don't think he knows that Viper is making new scouts out of that stable.
Right.
Which is pretty significant. But if you're DauT, you should be thinking Viper win feudal age. What else is he going to do? Funnily enough, we talked about elephants. This is a very good time for it.
Right?
If you're going fast castle, a couple elephants destroy feudal age units. So
yeah, I think the question you need to answer here as DauT, right? You need to get information as to, okay, I saw him dock in the middle. He's been feudal age for a while. Have I seen him on gold? Is he possibly dropping a dock on the outside now to threaten my water? Or
DauT with the plays here really needs to get this barracks up. So he drops a gate and says, Viper, how does it taste?
Yep.
He did lose his scout back there to a spearman, though.
And seeing that second scout arrive will confirm for him that there will be land aggression here from the Viper. So he just needs to protect against that. Viper getting housed in this moment, going to be forced to go for town watch. So not the worst of things. But ultimately, it looks like DauT now dropping his Castle Age buildings. No villager working, though.
Yeah, right now, DauT is under a lot of pressure. Now, he's invited this pressure, but I would argue that this is the type of thing you need to beat Viper today. You need some risks, high risk, high reward strats. There's still a gap there, which Viper could maybe run through.
Spearman coming over to defend.
Yep.
So relatively good defense here. Hasn't lost any eco units, while his Castle Age timing has been made a bit messy because of all the walling and the replacement of buildings. I mean, not suffering damage is all you can ask.
He hasn't lost fish yet. He will soon because Viper's gone for the forward dock, which is very smart.
And now a forward archery range.
But DauT's clicked up. DauT will be in Castle Age in 90 seconds. Viper's not going to be competitive with that time at all. What Viper is doing, though, is he's investing a lot more into feudal. So he should have eventual farms behind this and just very clean eco. And there in our left corner is that first fire galley from the Viper. But DauT does have a Vil around and a fire galley, so he could repair the fire galley, save the fish potentially.
Yep. Both players producing a second fire galley as well. So there will be a bit of a contest here on water. And DauT continuing to do a good job of keeping his land economy alive. However, the first archer now arrives to the berries. The wood line is going to be threatened next. This could start to get ugly here for DauT as he's still 30 seconds away from the Castle Age and really being able to produce anything in response.
And you have to think, what are you going to Castle Age for? The only instant bonus you get from getting to Castle Age, I guess, is the extra armor on your spears, but that's not enough to have an effect on any of this. So War Galley research needs to come in. You need the resources for that. Second TC maybe needs to be built, but like DauT is really pushing it here to gain some type of advantage and just not quite seeing it yet.
And unfortunately, while he is producing cav archers with fletching just now coming in, that's already maxed his economy, right? I mean, we're looking at, okay, typically this is where you'd want to be able to jump straight into Bodkin. He is going to go for that TC. We'll see if it gets contested, though. 2 spears to defend against the scouts is looking good, and I think with that cav archer coming out, he will be able to secure this TC.
I mean, he did have to delete his mill to build that TC, which will delay Horsecollar a very long time. He's got most of his food eco is just the 3 fishing ships in the back. This is tough, man, and it's just, you could tell on this map, it being so open, Viper's just chilling out, finding some pickoffs. He's been very relaxed about the whole thing. And now his resources are looking good for Castle Age.
Yeah, and Skirm's already in the queue. Having seen those Cav Archers out onto the field, he's going to go for a pretty easy counter unit. Of course, these are Feudal Age skirmishers at the moment, and without any upgrades. But in numbers and in the Castle Age will be effective at the very least against those Cav Archers.
There are so many situations where we see someone do what DauT has done, and then they hold against the initial attack, and then they just outboom their opponent. Credit to Viper for calculated pressure. He applied enough pressure to do damage, but not too much pressure where he would be stuck in Feudal Age forever. The forward dock was a big part, the forward range as well. If any of those are from home, he delays that pressure by an extra minute or two. So well played from the Snake. He finds the CA, and there he goes, on the way up.
Yep, clicks up. 2:10 on the clock till he hits the Castle Age. Now, within that 2 minutes, though, DauT is very safe because he does have the 3 TCs up at this point, so it's going to be hard to find too much damage. While you can still harass from the edges of the wood lines and things, the question will be, how much does that eco balance here over the course of the 2 minutes while Viper can't produce any villagers and DauT's producing 3 at a time. A new dock going down in the middle as well, so thinking about contesting the uncontested fish that Viper's had up to this point.
That's just another really nice find from Viper, right? He knew it'd be awkward to move through here, but he had to find a way in. He now knows that DauT will send fires towards his fish, so he should be prepped to deal with that. DauT, though, I know that we like to focus a lot on eco upgrades, but really the most important thing is eco number, right? Obviously, there's efficiency, and the eco upgrades also add to that, but DauT's on 3 TCs. So even if he loses an extra villager or two here, he's still probably going to have a Vil lead, and that should grow until Viper's also on 2 or 3 TCs. So this has a chance at working. Maybe if the Cav Archers find some damage and Viper's not expecting the CA, things could start to look good for DauT.
And that's one of the major things with CA, right, is it's the question of their mobility and how well you can utilize it. We saw DauT's first move was to come down the southern side of the map. He ran straight into Viper's military. He's just now sent a pack of Cav Archers that is reaching the economy of Viper. Viper, just with 1 Feudal Age skirmisher in defense, at least has to run with a number of Vils and does lose 1. At this point. I mean, this can be effective.
Nice. Yeah, that's really nice. And Viper's still trying to be a pain over here, but 3 town centers versus 1. Now, this is kind of a small detail, but I actually think Viper's best TC spot is exactly where those Cav Archers are standing right now. That's pretty good.
That's good, too.
But, the other spot protects the vulnerable side of the base. There's wood, there's gold there. So that was a pretty good spot to find if you're DauT.
Yeah, very early husbandry, too. Just looking to, enable his knights to chase down those Cav Archers as effectively as possible and push them away from the economy. DauT retreats for a moment into the fog of war, perhaps coming back soon to find more damage. Back over at his base, just doing his best to keep these military units from the Viper away from his economy. One of the things I'm so impressed by the Viper specifically, but a number of our top players, is their ability to keep units alive from the Feudal Age to the Castle Age and still make use of them.
Just get value,
Those 4 scouts have been alive for basically the whole game.
And that's what I meant earlier, because normal human beings have to make more army.
Yes,
right?
yes, exactly.
And then they're not in Castle Age at the time he was at. Right. If you a lot of people like to be like, "Wow, Age of Empires is a decision-making game. It's not a micro game." That's true, but if you can micro better than your opponent, it affects your decisions.
Yes.
You don't have to make as many units, and you can get away with more, which is something Viper's very well known for.
I was going to say, of old, the Viper was usually touted as the guy. It was a lot of times classified as greed, right? But really what that means is you're getting away with a lot for a little, right? You're maximizing what you can get out of very few resources spent and then get to the next age. I'd say the player who now has eclipsed Viper in that is Hera, right? Hera now even seems to get away with even more, with even less. And that is usually the mark of a top-tier player, and we're seeing it once again here.
So the question that's going up in my mind here is, what is DauT going to do to switch out of CA? It's maybe not the worst Cav Archer civ ever. I'm sure there are worse, but they don't get Bloodlines, which is an immediate no for Cav Archers for me. And I'm pretty sure they're probably missing stuff like Parthian tactics too. I've never seen someone go Cav Archers and Imp with melee. It's just not normal for them. So when's the switch going to come? And if the switch comes, what is it? It's probably going to be infantry as a counter to knights. But he either needs to find value from the army now, or he's got to prepare a switch soon, because Viper's in his comfort zone with Persians.
Here go the 4 scouts, finding another pick.
Melee are just not Just not a Cav Archer Civ.
Yeah, another incredible find, also hitting on 2 sides at once. DauT not even responding to this just yet. Now sees it, but a couple villagers have already gone down. Great damage found, almost no damage in return. And I look to the other side of the map, I see no red dots. And that's been the main story of this game, that the pressure has been at DauT's base the entire time. So it's on DauT to absorb, react to that pressure while he does finally get a good trap here.
The fact that those scouts are dead is a pretty big deal, because they were annoying. And he didn't have ballistics to really be able to hit some of those shots. I don't know if players should necessarily think about games this way, but if you look at Viper's vision from that forward building, it's very reminiscent to Yo's forward buildings against Vinchester earlier in the day.
On the same map.
Yeah, for those that didn't see that series, you got to go watch it. That vision is so helpful. And from DauT's perspective, he can't take those resources or even like move out there, because just the presence of the buildings, just the fact that his opponent could spot him or have production next to it. That's a TC solely because Viper's chilling right there with buildings. So it's such valuable space.
A creative way
map
to deal with the problem you just outlined is to drop a TC.
Just drop it. Yep, TC drop it.
Either way, even that alone, right? That's an early warning system now for Viper. Anytime military units want to come forward on that side of the map will make it that much more difficult for DauT to surprise his opponents with a group of Cav Archers. He's going to have to clean this up to make space to drop more farms. It's already a claustrophobic map.
Yeah, exactly. You can't build on the rock terrain, and there's a lot of water, so there's really not a lot of space here. Now, there is an argument for archers due to the lack of farming space, maybe? It's just the melee archers I'm having issues with, unless DauT gets a little bit more value, and he's going to push back on water. Might seem pretty unimportant now, but he will do that, and he's finally moving over towards Viper's base.
Does lose a couple Cav Archers immediately, tucks them in here to try and eliminate the surface area, but still a relatively good trade for those Knights, I have to say.
Yeah, just, again, no bloodlines. This is such a tough justification for me to go CA. And he's like, unfortunately, he doesn't have a big lead, so he feels like he could switch. Everything's committed towards this, so he's just going to queue up more Cav Archers. I mean, DauT has made Cav Archers with a longer list of civilizations than any other player I've ever seen. He's simply obsessed with them, but is it worth it here? I just don't know.
Yeah, and through all of that, we see some Scorpions in the queue here for the Viper while the Knight numbers continue to climb. I also see a castle. I was going to say I saw castle stone count, and then it gets placed right there just to get a little bit more map control, close the choke point, right? Defend himself on that side. Still maybe a conservative castle in the end, but that's pretty quintessential like Viper.
Yeah. He wants Viper will feel as though his eco's really smooth, and he should be very happy with that engagement. Oh, man.
Oh, no.
DauT CA run right into Scorpion shots and the Knights. And again, his Cav Archers are just melting.
We're down to 3 total. Yes, the conversion does come through successfully. There's still plenty of Knights here to clean up that Monk, as well as a number of the villagers that have turned tail to run, trade off the Knight that was converted. And again, we're thinning out those Cav Archer numbers. And while, yes, I recognize to your point, that isn't necessarily the long-term unit for DauT. You now have no unit. You have one Knight, one Cav Archer, one Spear, and 2 Monks.
Yeah, and you can, like, if you've watched DauT play before, you've seen better eco upgrades. You've seen him get Bodkin Arrow, which he's been lacking. This is just a result of the opening. Viper punished the greed so nicely, and so DauT just hasn't been able to hit the normal flow and timings. And I like the idea behind the opening. I really do, but because that's how you're going to beat Viper. You have to do something different than him. But Viper has just played so smooth and so perfect the entire way through.
Yeah, and Imp is on the way here. Castle was all he needed, along with the resources to click up. DauT nowhere near the resources necessary to click up, and given that he's behind in the military count, it's not something he can opt for. He can't decide to save up and try and match those Imp timings. And this is typically where we would say, okay, the other guy just invested 1,800 total resources into Imp. Go find damage.
Yep.
How?
He's got very little. Viper has 5 Knights without +2 armor, and he's been up against Cav Archers. That should tell you everything. Normally, you're going to need more upgrades. Normally, you're going to need more Knights. Normally, you can't be hanging out not producing any army right now, which is kind of what Viper's been able to do. And DauT is still, obviously hasn't been killed off yet. He's still going to hope to hold this position, but Viper actually deleted one of his buildings and is going to drop a castle right there next to DauT's TC.
Okay, DauT dropping a castle of his own in defense, so that will be well positioned. The big issue is that in 50 seconds, the M-Tech is going to come through, and all of a sudden, you're in a position to get Treb down.
It's also, I guess it feels natural to build a defensive castle there, but what are you actually defending in terms of resources and space?
Yeah.
You're like trees you've already chopped, farms you've already placed. So I think that is DauT hoping he can win the Imp battle. But when he sees that Viper is already an Imp, also with 2 castles, I think he's going to know this is going to be really tough.
Yeah, the expectation would be for the GG to come through, but we'll see. DauT might want to fight on.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's been kind of a scrappy game from DauT's perspective, so he may hope that on the backside of this, Viper hasn't had a super smooth play. There's also the docks up in the middle, and Malay still have the better potential on water, so I think DauT probably going to play on until he loses that castle. Still feel like the best unit from him would probably be more monks or just pike switch.
Yeah.
So pike trebs could be pretty good.
Well, like Cav already on the way too. Viper's thinking of everything, right?
Yep.
How do I, at this point, it's that transition, right? From how do I win this game to how do I lose this game?
Yeah.
And protect against just those couple areas that might spell disaster for me, and a whole bunch of conversions could be enough to turn the tides.
And DauT gets annoyed that he didn't get more conversions there, but Viper had just researched Devotion. That's not, like, DauT thinks he's annoyed at the conversions, but I think he's annoyed at how the rest of this game has gone, right? I think that was kind of understandable. And the Knights loop in. Obviously, DauT has just not been able to keep up with Viper so far here. And DauT's castle's going to fall here, and he's looking for a way back here, Dash, but unfortunately, doesn't seem like Viper's going to give him one.
Yeah, 2 Trebs on the field already working away on that castle, 1 in the queue. While, yes, we've got some villagers repairing, that stone count is dropping mighty fast. And the upgrades are just so much better for the Viper, both economically and militarily, on top of the numbers as well behind it.
Yep, so DauT goes down. I think the GG will be called here. And it is. Viper has looked pretty much perfect so far. No question on anything. And DauT says something to Viper, steps away for a moment.
They're smiling, though.
Yeah.
They're smiling. But yeah, a 2-0, a pretty clean 2-0 lead here for the Vipers so far.
I think, again, obviously he lost both games. And you could easily look at this and say, well, DauT was late on a couple things. But I think strategically, trying something other than a few late contest and adapt was good.
Mm-hmm.
Where I think DauT struggled was he didn't know what Viper was sending his way, because he was scared to scout it and lose his scout. So he didn't know scouts was coming in initially, which kind of delayed him. But then Viper went for the forward range, forward dock. The fire galleys got there faster, and the archer follow-up got there faster. If DauT had a little bit more time to cook there, he could have maybe stabilized that one. So,
yeah, and it's easy to nitpick too, right? It's easy to look at those different moments and go, maybe a more conservative second building placement. He dropped that archery range, and it sat being unbuilt for a solid 45 seconds before he deleted it and replaced it and then rushed it up with 4 villagers.
Yep.
But we can say that, and we also have to acknowledge it is that pressure, that quick pressure that came in from the Viper that makes those decisions difficult to make.
Exactly.
Right?
It's both sides. It's both sides. And I always try and stress that because it's so easy to just put the blame on the player who made a mistake. But ultimately, the opponents force mistakes for the most part there. So
exactly. Well, 0-2 scoreline at the moment. I mean, if you're sitting in Viper's position, obviously you're pretty happy.
Yeah.
For DauT, he's not going to be shaken. This guy's been to the top of the mountain, to the bottom of the mountain. He's been everywhere in between.
And DauT is a pretty streaky player, so that's where he's going to be maybe feeling down a little bit. But one win to get that fire back, right? I'd love to see the draft here because I think with DauT as well, even if he loses a game or two, it's not like there's that, oh no, Civ staring at us on the Civ draft.
Right.
Typically, he's got good matchups available coming up. Obviously lost with his #1 Civ pick, so I'm very curious to see what he has for Copenhagen and his other home maps here.
Well, I tell you what, we're going to send the audience to a quick commercial break. During that time, we'll negotiate with production to see if we can get the draft pulled up on the back half of that break. All right, see you in just a bit.
And now, a word from our partners. Are you looking for true surround sound? Well, you're in luck, pal. The U-Rage Sound Zeed 400 gaming headset gives you real 360-degree surround sound. With features like pinpoint precision, crystal clear bass, and immersive audio quality, you can end your losing streak. Get ready for sound so lifelike you'll swear you're on the battlefield. With this headset, you'll hear every enemy approach, every call, every detail, only without the clamor of villagers. Gamers, listen to you rage. Get yours on Müller.de.
Welcome back to the Noble Apartment Cup, where Viper sits in the lead currently in our last series of the day, 2-0 over DauT, but it's not over yet. And just as we promised you, we successfully negotiated to take another look at that draft graphic before we dive into this third game to see what is left here as options for DauT. Again, a reminder, Malay already off the table. Burgundians off the table. So we're working with Vietnamese, Armenians, Mayans, and Gurjaras. Of all things.
I'm just laughing because I know DauT, and I know that like right before that he was like, well, my plan was to win with that sit, but apparently that didn't work.
So now I have to win 3 in a row.
He definitely said something sarcastic there.
Totally. Okay, so we've played Enclosed, we've played Tide Pool.
Yeah.
We don't necessarily know where we're going yet. It is DauT's decision, though.
Yeah, sure. So let me lab this out a little bit. So as far as Copenhagen goes, I think Burgundians was going to be a good option there. He obviously played with those. So I think Vietnamese is kind of the no-brainer. I did watch DauT play in a show match on these settings with Armenians, and he felt like they were very strong, at least at the start. And then later on, he realized the late game kind of struggled, so I think he'll probably save that.
Yep.
Arabia, I could easily see something like Gurjaras or Mayans for DauT, and both be very strong. High Tides is the one that's going to be a little bit trickier for me.
Is that
but
your
I
Armenians
think
play?
maybe
so you're
Armenians,
still playing some water?
Because you can utilize the mule carts for different aspects, and there is a lot of water there. So Viper's picks, he's played with Huns so far. He's played with Persians. The map I'm actually most curious on is what Viper would play for Copenhagen. The other maps make sense to me. So
you don't play Britons there?
I don't think, like, DauT doesn't want to go to High Tides right now and let Viper dance around an open map. He doesn't want to go to Arabia right now. He's got to go Copenhagen.
You got to go Copenhagen.
Yeah.
But so then Vietnamese into Britons feels decent.
I don't think Viper will pick Britons.
Well, I would, yes, and I would agree because I would, if I'm now trying to be in Viper, we're trying to play the mind games that we know these two very players are playing right now. If I'm looking at Vietnamese, obviously, Britons is not the smartest pick into that. While it is a pick that might be happy to scale up into the late game, not a good matchup.
Gurjaras have a really sick late game as well, and a lot of Viper civs that he might play on Copenhagen would revolve around like good cav archers or cavalry in general, and Gurjaras have really good camels. They also have Shravamshas, which can be good against archers. They also have the Chakram Frisbee throwers, which can be good against everything.
And are you thinking Malians for High Tide?
I think that makes the most sense.
Right? Because because if you're talking about cavalry and cav archers and stuff, I'm thinking, well, Malians isn't awful for their camels, but I think they fit better on the hybrid map. We'll have our answer,
Oh my God! Viper, 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 Viper. He's laughing right now.
Okay.
Viper is definitely messing with him right now.
Come on now, man.
They're talking to each other.
Look at them. This is it. This is what Age of Empires is all about right here.
Okay, so the Dark Age Scout is not faster than the King. So, and also there's no ballistics on the castles. The castles are always fixed. So I think Viper knew what he was doing there and just wanted to give DauT a taste. Because if the King does go down, which we've seen before, the player would be defeated.
Utterly brilliant. Now, if we do go back to our Civ conversation, you mentioned how DauT has had experience with the Armenians.
Oh, he actually picked them.
And while he didn't maybe love it, he's elected to go back to it. And it will be the Malians on the other side here.
Yeah, okay, so I'm going to explain why I think Armenians are actually really good for the first 4/5 of this game. Okay?
Okay.
So they have the mule cart, which just in general adds to efficiency. But then when they research gold and wood upgrade, you're going to have, it's extra efficient than the standard upgrades for those things, right? You also get the additional bolt from your galleys, which is really helpful in a feudal galley war. Then in the Castle Age, Composite Bowman's actually very cheap and good for map control. And Shred's armor, which could be good against some of the things you might end up seeing, like Malian armored infantry. And then it's pretty much eco. It's very easy to get the relics because of the fortified churches. And yeah, the transition looked very smooth. But it was funny. I was watching DauT's stream. He was playing against Tato. I think Tato was Vietnamese. And DauT was like just typical DauT, like, oh, I showed this too early. This is so good. This is so good. And I thought he was trolling. And then he had like a 3K score lead, but it hit a point where he just couldn't kill rats and archers. Yep. And then the units just kind of suck for Armenians. So there's a window here for DauT, is what I'm saying.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you're lacking range in the end with the Composite Bowman. Both kings now get hidden away. At the point that we're in the feudal age, we hide the kings away. We've gotten the scouting information we can. The extra docks have been dropped here for each player.
Oh my God, Viper actually thought about a trap there. That was actually insane.
It would have been house and then a
house and a palisade or another
house through the corner, another house through the corner. But it would have been a one-tile trap, which would have been very impressive if he was able to execute it. Third dock now on the way here for DauT. He was second to the feudal age, so he's got some catching up to do in terms of the numbers, but he's not terribly far behind. And like you said, Armenians already going to boast an advantage from the combat power of those feudal age galleys.
So I'm curious to see the timing here on these galleys, because Viper being here a little bit faster puts DauT under pressure to micro, and that's the thing that Viper will always joke most about DauT. Viper's definitely the player you're going to lean towards when it comes to the micro, but DauT has opted for the 3-dock approach, so he should be able to recover there. And you have those pre-built farms, so they're there for your food eco for later. They both have fish, so...
He also managed to eke out one extra fish.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, and so while that's going to be a small advantage, it is an advantage that will continue to accumulate over time as long as he can keep those fish protected.
It's so funny. I wish everyone watching right now saw the game, because this is the exact same situation from DauT. And then DauT, like, soon after was like, oh, my opponent got fletching. Oh, and he rushes down a blacksmith with 4 vills. Like, it's playing out similarly right now.
Okay, but in that case, it was Armenians versus Vietnamese, you said, right?
It was.
So let's maybe talk about some of the differences between the Malians and the Vietnamese and how that might change the landscape of this game and how it develops over the course of it.
Viper's already been able to utilize the Malian advantages of getting these timings because of the cheaper docks and cheaper houses and cheaper blacksmith. That adds up to quite a bit at this point, which has allowed him to get these timings. Now, I'd expect the blacksmith for DauT to be coming up. He's just got to dodge. And if Viper ever gets in too close, then he goes for the volleys here. But you need some patience here, which is tough because you don't want to go too far beyond your dock, because then your new galleys are going to get picked off one by one when they pop out here. But DauT's played it perfectly. You got fletching on the way. And I think Viper's going to think if the opponent has that many galleys, he's over-investing in water. So Viper will probably still be somewhat happy with this situation, but this is what he wanted here in this matchup.
Yeah, looking good so far.
And DauT now thinking, I have the numbers, I need to dive. And he's maybe thinking he needs a few more numbers here. But I would say eventually DauT wins water. Be very curious to see what Viper's Castle Age time is going to be, because in theory he has more wood to spend on farms and other things right now.
Yeah, we definitely see the numbers starting to climb here for DauT. Yes, it's just, well, actually evens up with a trade right as I say that. 2 galleys in the queue for each player, 3 now here for DauT. The dancing on the water has begun. It's a beautiful dance.
It is so
it's a tango.
Beautiful.
What kind of a dance is it? It's not a tango. It's not that violent.
Dude, I don't really know that many types of dances, to be honest.
I really worked this into a corner here. I'm sorry about that.
I'll be like,
abort. It's just a bad analogy.
Most of the dances I'm thinking of are like random memes.
Step, yeah. Oh my goodness.
Well,
okay.
Vipers advance forward here, and this may be the dance that they both do till they're in Castle Age. But I think Viper would be pretty okay with that, considering the Armenians should be the superior galley civ.
Right.
This opening.
And it is still DauT that's on the back foot. But again, he's not necessarily upset with being in this defensive posture, as long as he doesn't lose or get overwhelmed in numbers or lose too many fishing ships. I'll also note he does have a better food count and more eco units on food. And so in that race to the Castle Age, while it's fairly even, he might in the end be able to eclipse Viper.
And more res collected, right? Which is because they both researched the wood upgrade, but it's more efficient for DauT, and the mule cart efficiency doesn't hurt. Wheelbarrow is a little surprising. That's not actually hugely helpful at this stage. Yeah, I think he did it because he got housed.
Okay.
But he doesn't actually have a single working farmer, so that's just because he got pop locked there.
Yeah, and he also had to pull a whole bunch of villagers to get a house up, which ruins the efficiency just a bit.
Yeah, DauT's going to want a future dock on that pond as well. He's going to be focused on those relics. But actually, okay, so just in general, because I can't obviously describe everything that happened in the other game I'm referencing. What DauT tried to do was, so he got a lead, and then he tried to expand, get the relics, take the other side, golds and wood. In my opinion, because Armenians drop off pretty hard, if you can gain that big eco lead, which he will, just push mid. Those double golds are there. Really try and force the issue fast in early Imperial Age.
Yeah, both players rapidly approaching Castle Age resources. But again, take a look at the military counts. It's now 16 galleys here, up against 11 here for the Viper. Feels like we're starting to teeter on what could be overwhelming numbers here for DauT if he does opt to take the fight and can force it.
He's got some weak ones in there. There's a big HP difference. Like, Viper has done more with less.
There is.
There's some weak ones in there.
We've got to group up those extra ones. There we go. With the 3 fresh galleys, it is a small health advantage here for DauT and more projectiles to work with. So again, if both players are microing perfectly, it would be DauT who comes out on top. But that's the beauty of the game of Age of Empires, is nothing is executed perfectly. And you can always do more with a little.
Yeah, and Viper's done such a good job of that this series. Just somehow gaining a slight edge in the timing, which he started with here, or just the engagements in general. It's 4-4. Looking at the KD, I do believe DauT lost a villager to a boar, and we might have missed that.
Yep.
Which is unfortunate, but just goes to show you how even the best players are.
What is he? They're talking to each other.
I don't know. DauT just looked dejected, like he looked disappointed. Like something happened there.
Yeah.
Viper didn't say anything back. I'm not sure. Did DauT forget a tech? It's not like he needed horse color.
No, he has not dropped an extra farm yet.
Yeah.
Those are all of his original farms.
Maybe he's just annoyed that Viper, he can't get a kill on Viper's galleys.
I mean, it is so classic.
Because every time he goes in, Viper gets 2 pickoffs, right?
It's so classic to this specific matchup, where the guy with the better DauT with the better water sieve and higher numbers is still taking the worst end of the trade, I mean, numerically.
Maybe the cams were delayed an extra 10 seconds, and that was what we were seeing his reaction to, because he lost 3 units there, and he was trying to dance with Viper. And Viper has just not been too bothered at all. Look at this from Viper. So he doesn't click the War Galley upgrade. He's happy at this point with what he's accomplished on water. I think he wants DauT to rush a university for ballistics.
Right.
And just go for all these crazy upgrades. And he's just going to boom.
Exactly. Second TC being dropped for both players, but like you say, it's a War Galley investment on one side versus just the Bodkin Arrow upgrade on the other.
Like, how are you supposed to do the other aspects of this map when you've got this guy breathing down your neck like this? Like, this is just so good from Viper. There's no other way to slice it. He should have had no business taking valuable fights in this matchup. Now DauT's got the superior upgrades, but still Viper dodging some shots and getting some pickoffs. It's just amazing value here for Viper.
Yeah, he's going to make this cleanup absolutely hell for DauT. And while DauT will eventually get all of these galleys down, it's taking so much focus, such an investment of resources. And so while yes, still has the edge in the res collected, if we were to actually look at the overall investment into military, there would be more than that differential invested on the side of DauT.
Yep. And look at the eco upgrades from Viper. He's already shifted into the wood upgrade. Looks like he killed DauT's scout out there. He's got a couple Gabetto. Farming eco's looking super smooth for him now. He's on 3 TCs. This is the kind of game that Viper wants. I wonder if DauT, back to what we said earlier, I wonder if he felt like the Armenian late game is so tough that he can't even go 3 TCs. And that he needs like map control in the middle with composite bowmen and a middle castle into fast trebs here or something.
Well, and I think what's very telling of that is that he put villagers on stone, and as you said, at the same time as avoiding that 3rd TC.
Yeah.
Right?
He's he also has Bodkin already, which obviously is for the ships, but he's making a lot of composite bowmen. He's down 2-0. He clearly looked a little frustrated. I think this is going to be something a little bit more extreme from DauT.
Yeah, here we go. First group of 5 composite bowmen out onto the field. They're going to scout forward. And then we'll look to see, okay, he just pulled all of his villagers off his stone.
Is he going to... Okay, so he's shifting...
Oh, they went to go build that monastery.
Okay. Well, they'll probably go back to...
They'll probably go back, yeah.
It feels to me like DauT is trying to go 2 TC, hope that the fish boom keeps him even on eco, and fast imp. I have not seen Gabetto versus Composite Bowman that frequently. I think the Composite Bowman should probably struggle a little bit because Gabetto don't thrive on having armor. But we'll see. Gabetto do cost food and golds, so are the more expensive unit here.
Yeah, they do have the advantage of their speed and mobility compared to the Bowman. And no ballistics in just yet for the Composite Bowman, so it's going to be tough for them to find any damage unless Viper leaves his Gabetto unattended for a period of time.
And there's going to be a couple instances where DauT gets close and he doesn't get any hits at all, and then you're going to see him slap down a university to get ballistics. It just gets so annoying after a while. Viper's been very evasive with those Gabetto. Obviously, he's given up water here. And drops TC number 4 for Viper.
Okay, 4th TC, both players with monks. We got monks and warrior priests at that. So looking for some relic control. 3rd TC now for DauT.
DauT is really going to want that monk kill with the way the previous game went, and he does get the kill, but at a cost.
Yeah, losing 2 and 1 to a conversion. He did go for the 3rd TC, so now this strikes me as some indecision because the commitment to the 3rd TC should have been there from the beginning then.
I think in his mind, he can't take map control for the castle now.
Okay.
I think he wanted the castle, and he just realized that's not going to happen, so I need to go 3rd TC. But it has not flowed how DauT has wanted here, and the Gabetto are looking really strong. And DauT's micring a little bit. He's also healing up with the Warrior Priest, but Viper 4 town centers behind this already.
Yeah, absolutely cranking villagers out. While it's still a minimal lead in the eco units, we will expect to see that to continue to climb. And of course, he's been working with much better eco upgrades in the Castle Age this entire time as well.
Are you surprised that we haven't seen a dock from anybody yet on the...
Well...
Oh. Okay, well...
No, I'm not.
Yeah. I just, especially with how much control Viper has right now, I feel like he's going to want to snag those relics there.
Without a doubt.
But I think DauT is not going to be able to prioritize on that.
Yeah, there's that university
push middle right now
that you were talking about. So going to look for ballistics to come in. Still taking a trade in the middle of the map here. Conversions being attempted from both players. And it looks like there will be successful conversions on both sides.
See, that's the type of fight DauT's hoping for. This is where he starts to think about bringing the Vills. Because I think you want the castle near that gold. It's close enough to push. Gill nets for DauT's fish, which can't be hugely efficient right now.
No, but he's up to 9 at least.
He did build a new dock.
Yeah, and he is up to 9. There's the ballistics we were looking for. So in 40 seconds, that's where I'm going to be looking for the villagers possibly to come forward. If he's got high enough bowman numbers with ballistics, if you send the gang, send 10 plus at least.
It's so down.
Send 10 plus, please.
Down 2-0, like trying to go for it all.
Yeah.
And now Viper's adding siege. I feel like we've seen this play out so many times.
Okay, gonna scout the siege workshop though. Didn't see the mangonel, I believe.
DauT,
though he is tacking that direction.
No!
No lives lost just yet, but a huge amount of damage coming through from that mango shot. And now the Gabetto looking to close the gap and clean things up. The ballistics is in.
He's got some warrior priests around, right? So he should be able to heal up a little bit. And Gabetto can never get ballistics. But again, it's a little bit of extra resistance from Viper to stop DauT from ever building that middle castle.
Yeah, we're up to 16 for the composite bowman. He's trying to group them up. Monk coming forward as well. Might get some of that healing to come through.
So Viper's faster on TCs big time, right? Faster on eco upgrades. Look at the res collected. Again, I think even if this loses, Armenians have a real solid shot here. And the composite bowmen are super cheap. He's going to have 20 of them with ballistics. If DauT could just push the middle and drop that second castle, get up to imp, Viper could actually be in a really awkward spot.
Yeah, but he's done a phenomenal job of controlling this central space.
Yeah.
Right? Because if we're correct in assuming what DauT's intention was this entire time, the Viper's done an incredible job of making that goal an impossible one to achieve.
Yeah, you could tell, like, DauT hasn't tried to TC any of the sides. which is what his priority was in the past.
Oh, they're the villagers.
Tato. Wow, and Viper's even going to wall that up. Okay, here we go.
This is it, y'all.
Here we go. Let's see if Viper's
Loom's
paying
coming
attention.
in now.
That's so down. I've seen him do it without Loom. He gets the kill.
Okay, he clears up the mango, keeps his own alive. Loom is now finished, and plenty of villagers to repair that mango back up.
Dude.
Good numbers on the composite bowman. He can go ahead and eliminate this. Is that aggressive enough?
I mean, it's.
Oh, we gotta be there to protect it.
Yeah, he's gotta make sure he gets it up.
No, come on.
So he's gonna back it up, and his monk is gonna stand over the foundation, and he has to micro, and it's stressful. But that castle's going up. Viper's not denying that castle.
Yep. There you have it. Okay, so it is a slightly more conservative, placement, replacing. We actually saw Viper look to drop a castle, and now rethinking that position as well towards the other gold in the south.
Yeah, and so Armenians don't get bomber cannon, so you're hoping that your trebs come out before bomber cannons become a factor from the Malians. Very tricky, though. Malian University's research faster, and Viper's imp time is really solid here.
Yeah, now DauT will beat him to that Imperial Age by just about 15, 20 seconds here. And he did get another decent cleanup on some of that siege while losing some composite bowmen in return.
The thing is, like, besides bomber cannons, what does Viper make? Because you can't go for champions with the high pierce armor because the Armenians ignore armor.
Yeah.
Gebetto is kind of tricky to justify because they may even get worse because the opponent gets bracer.
Right.
And then Cav feels like a pretty tough switch against the Armenians if they have really good infantry to counter that. So I think DauT's got a really solid strat cooked up here.
Yeah, looking solid, and he's going to drop another castle here. So looking to solidify his position in the center of the map with 2 castles. After taking down one of those mangonels, should look to complete this. Just needs to micro those bowmen. There, imp is in. We look to see the treb on the way. Immediately in the queue, what upgrades will follow? There's the bracer that you were talking about, giving him that 1 extra range, making the trades against the Gebettos that much easier. And now he feels the permission to come out towards that central wood line, drop another TC. But it's all about the pressure now that he's applying to Viper's defensive castle.
So I don't know if it's easy to have this information because this is still new. But a thought just dawned on me as Viper's getting devotion. Monks with Armenians to convert cannons could be pretty good. You've got 12 range monks. You have great monastery techs. So maybe Viper's considering that as an option with devotion already coming in. But DauT right now, I think, is just thinking about that treb snowball and killing everything with the composite bowman.
Yeah, so moving forward with that treb now, he's going to have to make a decision on which castle to prioritize.
Castle on a hill is tougher to take down.
Definitely.
But maybe DauT can just camp these siege workshops. Those bomber cannons are going to have to come out eventually. And there's nothing really to stop DauT from lingering around there. 2 mangonels shouldn't do it.
Okay, solid micro, but does dive underneath the castle. Oh, that second shot there does find purchase.
Yikes.
Plenty of lives lost and a lot of HP to boot. Maybe diving a bit too deep, feeling that he needs to end this game quickly. He turns the trebs towards the mangonels. We'll see if he can find any shots, and now the bombard cannons are out.
Yeah, and Viper didn't lose his castle yet either, so we just have the trebuchets going for the siege here. The trebs took out the cannon.
Okay. Okay.
Another one.
Yeah, but we still have 2 trebs alive, both cannons down. However, military numbers are completely dwindled on both sides of the coin. But ultimately, if I'm sitting now with the treb advantage, this is still winnable for DauT.
I love this from DauT. He goes up to 8 trebs. Like, his castles haven't queued more composite bowmen. He's simply going for the treb numbers, understanding that if he can't make bombard cannons, he needs to focus on more trebs. And Viper is doubling down on this area. With 8 trebs, DauT could potentially win the battle anyways.
I think that the scary thing here is it overinvestment into trebs because your military numbers in terms of what can defend against the cannons is so low now. The Gebetto are looking to dive in. I think Viper might have identified that very weakness. He's going to go ahead and continue to micro those bombard cannons, look to take down even more trebs. Another castle goes up defensively. Ooh, the investment of resources here that we're watching fall on the side of DauT. It's Trebs versus the world.
Yeah, and Viper is able to produce cannons for the Trebs and produce Gebetto out of his castles.
Exactly.
So it feels like Viper's kind of got double production right now. And maybe, like we said, maybe Malians are just better long term. We haven't seen everything Malians can do yet. And another Treb's going to fall for DauT.
Yeah, attempting the repairs, but having to split his attention between Trebs, Castles, now looking to get those composite bowman numbers back up. He's got 12 in the queue, producing out of 3 Castles, also looking for perhaps a last-ditch infantry switch. Viper, though, as well, going for some more of those infantry upgrades. But as you said, I think for every second we stay in this game, things look better and better for the Viper.
I would have really liked to see DauT go for elite composite bowman here instead of these the champion switch. Maybe he has it. We could click an individual unit. I might have missed it. I mean, he's still piling on some pressure and could still get it. But I don't know if he actually has elite there.
I don't think he does because I think he committed to so many Trebs out the gate. And it was entirely Treb production. Then his numbers were low. Now he feels like he needs to get the numbers back up.
I mean, Viper's lost a lot of bomber cannons to these Trebs.
Yeah.
He's also put a lot of resources into repairing. 2 castles. He has 2 different castles being Trebbed right now.
Exactly.
What a hold from DauT.
Just now investing into hoardings. Just now investing into Bliss's himself.
Look at both their economies, actually. Their economies are ridiculous. Viper's under so much pressure, he's up to 165 bills.
Okay, 1 castle goes down. This makes it a little bit harder for the cannons to come forward, right? They have less defensiveness, behind them as they come forward to try and snipe the Trebs.
Viper,
those bowmen can push them back.
Viper, the big reason the champion switch was a little terrifying for me from DauT's perspective is that Viper had Gebetto. Viper only has 12 Gebetto. 100 HP champions, which is what they will be with Armenians once he completes these upgrades, they could be devastating to Viper.
Yeah, and now we're seeing maybe a tech switch into cavalry.
Yeah.
Understanding that now, we do trade a castle back in the other direction, and once again, that's going to buy Viper a little bit of breathing room here.
Do you fight the main push with the champs, or did he cut into Viper's base, or not cut, take out the wall? What if you send champs in there?
Maybe. We've got a raid as well. We talk about those 12 Gebetto. Those Gebetto don't need to fight on the front lines. They can go find damage in the back. And that's going to give Viper 50 extra villagers to work with. Of course, less pop space now to build military. But we see the techs continue to roll through here for a switch into light cav, perhaps. And now he's rolling forward with the bombard cannons. DauT needing to respond.
DauT has to stop this. Yeah, DauT knows that castle is going to be built. He has to try and stop this. He has to force the issue. Maybe there's a chance he could find Viper's
Here come the infantry.
There. And there it is. So are the Gebettos still forward? I think
they are. They're all still over there where they went to raid. You have no answer to these champions right now.
Yeah, the cannons have to go back, and if the cannons have to go back, that means Viper's front castle could go down. Champions run in from DauT. This is a really big raid. Viper does not have the answers, and his answers are on the other side of the map.
This is massive. I mean, and even light cap is not enough to deal with champion fully upgraded, or nearly fully upgraded, at least on the armor perspective. And so now the Trebs completely unperturbed, working away on the castle back at home. DauT now pushing underneath that secondary castle.
Viper doesn't see that.
Yeah,
he doesn't know. That is so rare that you could surprise Viper like that. Viper is not looking there because of the threat of this push, and DauT just keeps coming, and that is Viper's food eco.
Yeah, castle goes down. Base is wide open.
King is in the tower too, by the way.
It's open season. Viper looking for some damage on the other side to break through the walls, but at this point, you need to come back and defend this. Your entire eco is about to fall to pieces.
Yeah, DauT's hoping that with the reposition Viper has to do defensively, he can now push for this castle. He's got Viper down to 2 castles, which is great because the Gebetto are needed for Viper, but like, can he kill those bombard cannons here? He might be able to push him back, actually.
Yeah, he absolutely can. I mean, just keep him away from the Trebs, even if you can't kill him, but it looks like he will.
Oh, Viper!
Oh, he's trying to trade off. He does get 2 of the 3 trebuchets, but 1's still alive, and the champions can do work against those repairing villagers. Viper trying to pump out as many military units as he can, but he's down to 175 max pop. He hasn't even realized that with all those castles going down, he's stuck at a max of 175.
And look at the momentum DauT has gained now. Like, he can send champions right back into that eco. There's still no castle there. DauT, in theory, could try and like wall up the right side as well, take the stone and gold again. It's so tough, dude.
Yeah, but groups of 5 champions is all you need to continue sending into those farms to make a mess of Viper's eco. Yes, the Treb Snipe will come through with the light cap, but again, the composite bowman going to make quick work of everything that came in. So a huge investment just to buy yourself a little bit of time for those couple remaining castles, and you still have no answer for the eco that's falling apart at home. 13 military to 57. DauT is looking to keep this series alive.
Yeah, he is. He's done a great job. Now, they both have taken some pretty heavy losses, but only one player's base is wide open for raids, and that would be Viper's base. Viper has 0 defensive castles in his starting eco, where he's got most of his town centers. I do see one Treb come in occasionally from DauT. Maybe you could consider that sloppy to not be patient, but this isn't a patience type of game now. He's just sending it, dude.
Yeah,
and he's going to destroy that TC. Champions there, going for another bombard cannon, sniping it.
Yeah, the King's been repositioned, but this is no longer a game about the King.
Yeah.
Right? You're just strangling, you're choking your opponent out at this point. You've moved him off of 30 farms. It's a mass migration down to the south, but the champions continue to chase. And pretty soon, Viper's going to have an 1/8 of the map to work with.
And the crazy thing is all of DauT's units are super cheap, and he's collected more res. So it's not like the KD never really looks pretty here. But 100 HP champs with supplies and all the armor upgrades, plus the composite bowman, you could just do this all day with this much map control. And that's what he's doing. He's got 30 more champions in queue.
The military numbers themselves are absurd, 62 to 22. But also look at the value of the army. It's a 5,000 resource army in play right now for DauT, up against 2K total resource value here for the Viper.
And Viper is really hoping for an opportunity for those bombard cannons to move forward to snipe the Trebs. But every time he goes to do that, he's got another raid to look at in his base, and he's getting pushed by another wave of champions, and DauT gets it done with the Armenians and gets that crazy strategy that we were looking for to work out.
Gets one back, leans back in his chair, maybe a bit of a sigh of relief to have bought himself some life in this series. Still a lot of work to do, right? It's a reverse sweep that you're mounting up against here. You got to put 2 more back-to-back in order to take this one on day 1 of the group stage.
On paper, it was still kind of a risky thing to go for the champion switch. But how many times do we see someone try and go for the champion switch too late because there's so many steps removed? It takes so long to get there from Man-at-Arms onwards. So DauT's got a bigger smile on his face through the back and forth now with Viper. And Viper suddenly not as cheery. In their back and forth here.
And it's so classic DauT to stick to the Armenians.
Yeah.
He's one of the players of all the top 10 that you could call it stubbornness. That's one word for it. Conviction. In what he thinks is the right play is another word for it. And the number of times I talked to DauT, and maybe there's disagreement throughout some other players, but no. If I do this correct, if I do it the way I mean to do it or execute correctly, I think this is the winning play.
But like, I thought it was the losing play all through Castle Age because the fishing eco is not great for Viper, for DauT, and Viper was faster to the upgrades and the TCs. But every time I look back at the res collected, I was like, hold on a second, this is even. Right. So he's on to something there. I think the Armenian eco is maybe one of the best economies.
And this is why I love day 1 of group stage too. Because everybody is watching this, and every player is now going, oh, am I not prioritizing that civ enough? Am I prioritizing that civ too much? Anyway, we've got ourselves a series, and so we're going to let you take a breather with a quick commercial break while we take one ourselves. We'll come back, gear up for game 4 in just a bit.
And now, a word from our partners.
Eek! A mouse! A mouse!
What is it, dear? Why you rage? Oh, honey. That's no ordinary mouse. It's the UH Reaper 250. With this mouse in your household, you never have to be scared again.
Yes, the U-Rage Reaper 250, featuring DPI control, advanced ergonomics, RGB lighting, and customizable buttons, is the perfect addition to every competitive household. Why U-Rage? It's all good. Get yours on mueller.de.
Welcome back to the Noble Apartment Cup and Game 4 of our final set of the day. DauT breathing new life into this series with the Armenians win on Copenhagen, but he still has to win 2 more. And this is the point where we come back to civs and the maps available. We talk about the fact that that was a home map for DauT and his choice.
Yeah, true.
Right? Things get a little harder.
They should, yeah. But, like, I don't know. I just want to, before we fully move on from what just happened, like, to anyone who is questioning game number 2, why Malay? Why FC? Too risky. Well, guess what? It's because you then have the complete opposite in game number 3, where you're like, "Bah, DauT's a mastermind." We could have so easily been looking at that, saying, "Why Armenians?" So he's got his options out there. I think the beauty of it is typically he can still play like those big picks, the known way, the known style, and have a couple more in the back drawer. So we'll see what the draft holds. I forget what's out there. I think Viper's got. I think
Arabian
Viper's
tide pool, right?
Yeah, tide pool is played,
Arabia,
so it should be Arabia, and I forget the other one.
Water at the top, and I'm forgetting the name.
I'm actually forgetting the other one.
Desert in the middle.
Desert in the middle, water at the top. Oh, desert, dry river? I don't think that's it.
That's not it. They can pull the graphic up for us, and when you see it, well, we're both going to face palm.
Yeah,
when
it looks like we have a break there. And there was the Viper. So, yeah, forget.
There it is. High tides. There it is. I said tide pool, but yeah, it's high tides.
Okay.
There we go. Water at the top.
Yeah, no, that's perfect.
Desert in the middle,
yeah.
right?
No,
okay.
that was good. No, you weren't crazy. I just couldn't think of it. So
I like to believe that chat knew what I was going for. But this,
course.
so this is. But the only reason I bring that up is number one is going to be Viper's selection between these two maps. Typically, I would lean towards, okay, go to your home map, close it out. But I will just proffer that we had already theorized Malians would have been the one to go to high tides. And how is that going to now warp the remaining draft here for Viper?
It could typically warp it a little bit, but I think Lithuanians are very comfortable there for him. So I would guess that Viper, if we see high tides, will play Lithuanians there. He's
left Tatars and Britons.
Yes.
For Arabia.
Now that is where I think DauT's really cooking.
Yeah.
Because he sees Tatars Britons as a good matchup for Gurjaras.
Exactly.
And so I think we're definitely going to high tides game 4. I think it'd be very foolish of Viper to not do that. And
really?
Yeah, I think Viper needs to go high tides right now. Don't give DauT the momentum.
Don't give him the ability.
Because it's not just going to be a win on, like, it's not going to be just a win if DauT wins on Arabia, but it's going to be like I predicted him in my Gurjaras pick world.
Right.
It's going to be a different vibe. So yeah, I think go high tides. It's a lot more open, a lot more unexpected what can happen there compared to Arabia. But yeah, DauT is definitely going to save Gurjaras. I'd be very surprised.
So we assume the Lithuanians pick on high tides.
Yes.
And if we're saving Gurjaras for Arabia, we have
Vietnamese.
And
Vietnamese are also an insane counter pick potentially to Tatars and Britons. Vietnamese are good there too. He's got 2 really good civs.
Yeah.
But I think, like,
is this what they were talking about in the chairs?
Maybe they were talking about.
Is this what DauT was referencing? he had the foresight. He gamed this out.
Yeah.
He saw all the versions, all the different possibilities, and now he's like, aha, checkmate.
There's never a draft where you could question DauT's civs.
Yeah.
If you know what strategy he was going to do, right? Like if he's got a couple left over on his draft, you might be like, why did he even have those? It's a bad draft. But he just didn't tell you what he was going to plan on doing.
Right.
And I mean, he would probably still argue that Malay was still a really good choice as his first pick. Didn't look good game 2, but he could have adjusted things differently. So we'll see. I forget, is Vietnamese and some other civ available?
Yeah, that's fine.
We'll have to see what that is again. Sorry, it's been a long day, so production can hopefully help us out. But I like Vietnamese. I like Gurjaras. I think Gurjaras there is a bonus you could use on high tides. You could garrison your fish. Do some weird things with that there. Everyone forgets you can garrison your fishing ships with Gurjaras.
Here, we'll get our answer.
Now we have our game.
Oh, we have our game,
Fantastic.
actually.
Okay.
Even better.
All right.
That will be our answer as we dive in. And it is going to be Arabia, and it's going to be Tatars for the Viper up against Gurjaras for DauT.
Okay, so Viper loves the Tatars, and I think it suits his style really well. It suits Arabia really well. We see a lot of cav archers these days. All the little hills that you have on Arabia, you could just completely abuse if you're the Tatars because of the extra hill bonus damage. The weakness of Tatars is their go-to units are going to be out of the stable or the archer range, and they're going to be on a horse. And the Gurjaras have amazing camels and the potential of the Shravamsha rider. So I've seen DauT greeted out a lot. And greeted out, I mean, he tries to fast-track feudal age typically. It's almost very similar to the enclosed game we saw. where DauT wants to get to castle to spam cav, and Viper's going to try and apply more pressure in feudal here. That's how I would expect this to play out.
Okay, well, we'll see if the game plays out to our expectation then, as we watch the players go through their Dark Age build orders. Of course, for the Gurjara player, quickly garrisoning those sheep into the mill to get that extra trickle of income while you work on the hunt. Maybe expecting to see some of those sheep come back out later.
Yeah.
To aid the food eco and the transition, right, as you reach the next age and you're trying to get yourself onto farms.
You read my mind on that because DauT and Tato are the two that I kind of modeled my Gurjara play after because they would pull sheep out of the mill later on. But it is a bit different in a 9-vil start. So because you start with extra vils, you don't actually get 8 sheep. I believe you just get 6.
Okay.
So, and that does affect the food rates. So it's a whole new set of pros and cons, but I think, okay, so there's 4 in there, and a couple are scouting. Usually they would pull them out to about 4. So now you start with 2 less, so it's like, do you pull them out? I have no clue. I have no answer. But it's just something to think about, I guess.
Yeah. So the question is, has he done the math?
Yeah.
And another one goes up into the mill because we still have a couple of boars to work with. Of course, also having those extra berry bushes underneath the TC. I think that the Gurjaras have a lot of options for food income early in the order of operations that they want to pursue. Loom completed for both players, perfectly matched feudal timings. 18 vils, 19 pop on the way up.
Yep, pretty much the same builds here. Viper, I think Arabia is pretty figured out these days. I'm an Arabia guy myself, but I don't think anyone can come out here and say, like, oh, it's not predictable in terms of the openings. It is. So I think it's likely to be scouts here. And then, as I said, it's super easy with the Tatars to switch into archers quickly because they get so much food from their sheep. They can delay their farms and add the range nice and early here. So I'd almost expect that from Viper, but maybe, like, if you expect that, I guess the best thing DauT could probably do is just greet it out with a couple walls here. But he could easily just follow it up with skirms. It's not like his food eco isn't going to be good as well.
Yeah, I'm trying to evaluate maps here.
Oh, DauT tries to trap Viper.
Oh, and he goes for it again. Oh, my goodness.
DauT was like, oh, come on. And Viper's like, nope, not to me, bro.
Yeah, they're having fun with it. Nobody can accuse these guys of not having fun. I can tell you that much.
Oh.
We do see the initial barracks going up for each player. Feudal Age comes in. Should be a stable to follow for each. Now, 2 villagers on one side. Second one coming over now to get that up for DauT. Taking a look at the maps themselves, nice protected gold here from Viper. There is a hill, right above it, but I don't think he'd be too worried about that.
Yeah, it's
walling from the wood line to the edge of the map seems pretty safe for him.
Yeah, both maps are pretty safe.
Yeah.
There's going to be an opportunity here, but not much of one for the players to get damage done, if you ask me.
Yep, and there you have it. Going to go ahead and throw that wall to the southern side of Viper's base and right across the front here for DauT. He's got amazing wood lines in the back of his base that he can kind of use as natural protection. So very quickly becoming full wall situation for both players as the initial scouts come out onto the field. And look forward for more information, spears as well.
I'd be curious to know what Viper's vision is right now because we saw the scout almost get trapped. Okay, so he doesn't know about that whole right-hand side. So he might be thinking that his map is better than DauT's, and obviously, like we said before, wants to apply pressure. So let's see what opportunities he can find. DauT's there.
Yeah, looking to rectify that scouting information issue by going over to the right-hand side, but we do have the camel scout and a spear over there.
DauT's out of position here to save that Vil at least, but okay, he pulls the Vil back. And now he knows the scouts are there.
Yep. And that's just about the final section of wall he needs to complete. Everything else already done. And so it doesn't look like Viper's going to get enough military units forward to threaten the villager as DauT stays home in defense.
Well, so now Viper knows where the gold is. He found the berries earlier, and he knows the wood as well, I believe. So he now has all the information he needs. Because what you're trying to determine now is, can you actually like break into the walls and find immediate damage? A lot of times you just want to try and break in near where they have Vils taking a resource. So that's kind of tricky. I think the best one is probably the wood right there.
Yep.
There's a lot of hills, so I could see that getting awkward for DauT, but DauT's all This is what he wanted. He wanted the full walls here.
Yeah, and so far playing out exactly to your prediction, right? It's going to be Viper who goes to the archery range first. It's going to be Viper that tries to put on a little bit more pressure and Feudal, even if ultimately he's not going to find that much damage. And it's going to be DauT who tries to weather the storm, get himself to the Castle Age, and make more use of those amazing stable units that the Gurjaras have to offer.
It's funny how similar this is to that enclosed game. Viper makes an extra scout or two. Viper drops the range early to apply the archers. I guess the difference is that DauT is actually fully walled. And in the enclosed game, he had to drop a tower, and he lost some villagers. So this is DauT's game plan. This is what he wants, but does he expect the archer follow-up from Viper?
Yeah, he's dropping, I can't tell if it's an archery range or a blacksmith back at home for himself.
Yeah.
Okay, it is a hidden archery range.
Yeah. I mean, he had a preview of this, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He had a preview of this exact scenario, so he's going to make a couple of his own range units, but that doesn't mean this is going to be easy, because Viper's got fletching on the way, and his 3 archers are already coming forward, and DauT, he doesn't know that army is coming to his base right now.
Market?
Most likely a market from DauT.
Yeah.
I think the archers are just to keep himself alive, but what he really wants more than anything is Shravamsha Riders.
Right, needs to get up. So might look to sell that stone, accelerate himself to the Castle Age as long as he can keep these scouts out of his base. That'll be the big trick. Looking for the house walling behind. Does get his first archer onto the field. He's going to follow up with skirms from this point forward. A perfectly fine defensive unit if they're allowed to sit behind walls as well and not have to go toe-to-toe with the scouts.
It's really stressing me out that DauT isn't house walling further in some areas here. There's a lot of hills around for Viper to use. DauT doesn't have fletching yet, and he doesn't want it either. Kind of needs it, but he also wants Castle Age to feel like his plan is working.
Yeah, he's got 9 on gold, and there you see he's using it for the market. That's his intention here. It's not to produce archers.
Okay, well, I mean, in the end, I'm a little surprised to see Viper actually backed away. I thought he was going to want to dance there. And Viper may be just happy to conserve his archer mass. So Viper will click up at a decent time, but not as fast as DauT. And DauT hasn't lost a Vil. DauT's off the momentum of that epic Game 3 victory. And he will be in the Castle Age with Gurjaras ready to spam. I think it has to be the Shravamsha Rider, though, if there's crossbows out there. You can't just be sending camels out. Could still be Elite Skirm, but I'd be a little surprised if DauT makes more than the 4 skirms he has.
Yeah, there's the click. Timer starts. 2:20 on the clock here for Castle Age. Viper as well, though, recognizing that he won't find any damage, so has definitely slowed his production a bit and is looking to get up to the Castle Age himself. Dropped a healthy number of farms back in his own base as the Tatar player.
So we'll see if Viper gets to a winner's interview here, but something that he needs to be asked at some point as Viper goes to attack here is he committing this heavily to crossbow because he's scared of the counter damage of camels? Right? Like maybe that's an argument to be made here. You still get Thumb Ring for free, and if you have a crossbow mass, you don't have to worry about the camel mix as much. But he got a Vil pick there. DauT is going to get fletching. DauT is going to make a couple more skirms, but there's a second stable. So DauT definitely wants those Shravamsha Riders.
Yeah, second stable while investing into the upgrades here for the skirmishers. Armor coming in now, opted for fletching first. Struggling to keep those numbers up as he brings some of the cavalry back just to push Viper away. 45 seconds and counting here until we get to those cavalry units in the Castle Age and another archery range in response here from Viper back at home.
Okay, so small detail from DauT. You can actually produce camels in the Feudal Age. So he is preemptively making a camel here. That will become a camel rider once he's in castle, so that's smart. Really curious to see how many Shravamshas he can make, and if he can get upgrades, because Shravamshas are pretty heavy on food. So I forget the exact amount. I want to say 70-30, 70 food, 30 gold, but I think that might be a Step Lancer instead. Someone in a chat is going to correct me there, but...
oh, they already have. 15 people have already.
Yeah. T90 noob. But he used the market to get up, so it's actually really tough to have the natural food economy to make a lot of these things.
Right. Yeah, and ultimately he's still investing into his upgrades for his range units, right? It's Elite Skirmisher and Bodkin Arrow, which is a massive food investment at this time. Now he is going to look to batter against the walls here of the Viper. Viper going out to look for the house walls just to buy himself some time to reach Castle Age as well.
This is what's so dangerous about this, though, is because we have made, or I have made, a lot of assumptions on the natural flow. But DauT can just flip the script and change it up on you. So Viper was going to go heavy crossbow because he's scared of camels. And now there's actually elite skirms. And maybe DauT just buys the stone back and drops a TC behind it too.
Right.
It's really good.
No, and it's working out. He even gets to trade off some of those numbers from over the walls. He's continuing to put the pressure on. Castle Age comes in. There's the crossbow click. It is his only real military unit on the field, aside from the scouts.
Is DauT open on the front of his base? Like, he doesn't have a gate, right?
He is.
Oh,
No, no, please, no, not
DauT.
like this.
DauT, wall it.
Oh, no, and the scouts are going to see it. He only has 4 skirmishers here. That's the permission that Viper needs. He dives in, takes the hill. The crossbows are now going to take the high ground, and from here, it's open season on the gold.
He's going to try drop houses now. He's in on Viper's side. Viper's going to be making some army to defend from that, so it's a big base trade, but I think DauT is taking way more damage
it's better
right now.
for the Viper right now. An amazing pip coming up to show us action in both bases at the same time, but an extra TC comes up in defense here for the Viper. We've already pushed DauT off of gold. Yes, the skirmishers are finding some snipes onto those crossbows that have now dove deep into the back of DauT's eco. The question is how much damage will ultimately be felt at the end of this. It's a 3-0 eco KD in favor of the Viper, up to 4 now.
Yeah.
DauT still struggling to find any on the other side of the map.
Yeah, I mean, you can see Viper scouts aren't exactly being microed perfectly there because he's focused on the defense. So nice job there from DauT offensively. And it ends up being quite even. I think that hurts us because there was a bit of more avoidable damage there from DauT to have the hole. But he's going to get the clear. And he
6-0 on the
he
eco
could
KD,
still potentially have a better army. But yeah, Viper's on 2 TCs. Viper gets the extra sheep, which help out, and he's got enough army to push this back now.
At the very least, DauT has cleaned up everything back at his base, and he still has some army forward. So technically more map control in this moment, but he needs to utilize this time to decide how he's going to approach the remainder of the game. He has seen the 2 TCs, so he knows he's behind in eco. He saw the losses that he took in terms of the villager numbers. So the question is, do you buy that stone back, try to boom out? Do you now commit to the all-in? Do you say, okay, I'm on the back foot, but now I got to send a couple vills forward, build some siege, and try and roll through him?
You got to go all in, baby. You got to keep going. I mean, based on what we know, Viper dropping TC number 3, I think that all in is the best option here for DauT. He doesn't have, he's making double food unit. So if he tries to go 2 TCs as well, it's very tricky to keep army production rolling.
Yeah.
So Viper, this is, funnily enough, actually a way he could potentially be open to losing the game. The 3rd TC is beneficial, but if skirms become a problem and he can't make enough knights, let's say,
right,
because he's booming, you know, maybe he gets punished. But I think it feels very natural for him. He's getting ballistics now, and he's got a lot of Shravamsha chasing him down right now he needs to deal with.
Yeah, ballistics for those cav archers is going to be huge, though. The hit-and-run tactics can come up big if microed properly.
Really
Gets
good
one
micro
trade-off there as well, yep. But DauT still at least forcing the pressure and the attention back to the other side of the map. Continued investment into military upgrades as well without dropping more TCs tells me that he agrees exactly with your analysis of the situation, T90, that it's an all or nothing kind of moment here in this game and on this map if he wants to extend this to a Game 5.
This is how DauT beats other top players on Arabia. This is it. It's not the, you know, 2nd, 3rd TC timing. It's all about the early Castle Age or early Feudal Age advantages. It's going to be tough. He's firing a lot of volleys, and he's missing right now. So Viper's kind of happy to just move side to side and be patient. But also investing into ballistics for 10 skirms feels like it could be a bit excessive in the moment.
Now, this might be a minor thing, but, well, we're going to have an engagement here. So I'll wait a moment to ask my question. But I think a lot of players, myself included, would see that forging come in and question it a bit, especially into ranged units. Would you not prioritize the armor upgrade?
I would guess maybe he thinks he has armor.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I think he probably clicked it, but he's been spending a lot. Like that hole even in the front of his base is just because he's like, let's go, we're pushing, and he thinks like push, and he wasn't expecting a counter.
Yeah.
So
the only other thing I can think of is specifically a Gurjaris tech, because on Shravamshas, you have free damage to take.
That's true.
Right?
That's true.
And so if I'm going to absorb some amount of damage, if microed and played properly, actually getting more, bang for my buck in terms of the power of the unit.
Yep.
as long as I am pulling them back, letting them recharge those shields. Maybe it's specifically a Grajar's tech. He seems to go for the armor at this point. 2 upgrades better than 1 in any case. So
no, I mean, if you had to choose, I like the argument there.
Okay.
I think there is an issue with the Castellate Travamsha, though. It's like, it's still only 75 HP. It's still very low attack. So that quote-unquote dodge, once it's gone, the unit still melts.
It's paper.
So I think that's why he's making skirms. Like, you need another unit in there against the CA. And he's getting some damage here, but Viper's Vil count is only rising right now, Dash. So engagements need to be better for DauT.
An advantage of 18 at this point, and the military numbers are alike, while slightly in favor of DauT. He is now moving to a second TC. He knows that he can't sit on 1 TC forever if he's not actively knocking on the door of his opponent's base. That will only cause him to fall further and further behind. So he is going to try to find some respite. But we've got a big engagement in the middle of the map, and it's Knights versus Stravamshas, and not quite enough elite skirmishers, it feels like, to deal with the Cav Archer numbers. And there goes the cavalry front line, and now the elite skirmishers are exposed. It's looking like a cleanup moment here for the Viper on the front of DauT's base, and with a better eco behind, he might have just created the opening for him to punch through and end this game.
Yeah, I mean, the Cav Archers are just so good. The Knight meat shield that Viper's been able to get to, they have bloodlines, they have armor, and again, they're designed to be pretty good against the Stravamshas. It's the camels that they would be weak against. DauT's now fully reacting to the presence of the Knights to just add camels, but this is wide open again. His gold's going to have to be vacated.
Deja vu, we've been here before. And the Vils go running back to the TC, but not before a number of them will fall. And while the Camels will find a decent engagement against the Knights themselves and clean those up, we still have the mobility of the Cav Archers to run around and make a mess of DauT's eco. Gonna drop a panic TC in the back here. Doesn't want to give it up. Doesn't want to let it go. Wants to try and find a way out of this game and into a 5th one. But it's looking difficult at this point.
Yeah, and there are some times where you don't want to throw away this much army for Vil kills. If you kill 20 Vils, you're happy with that.
Yeah.
You're going to be able to produce more army on the field.
And I'd say if, you end up in a double your, opponent's eco kind of situation, 86 to 46 at this point, you could take almost any trade and call it worth, as they say.
Just been another smooth game from the Viper. He was potentially in trouble in early Castle Age, but he kept that army alive. And ever since then, his eco has just been flying here. This is the last moment for DauT. Genuinely, his last chance. The percentage is much lower than it was 3 minutes ago.
Yep.
But he does have some army to potentially compete. The issue is, it just doesn't seem like it's quite good enough. Like, the skirmisher shots are going to miss because of no ballistics. The camel will get focused down. And a little surprised Viper's army production doesn't include more Knights right now, but he should be able to do that.
Yeah, taking the foot off the gas in terms of the military production just a little bit. But the really tricky thing I think about DauT's situation is that even in the case where he does get a good fight and starts moving back across the map, his military composition is not one that threatens structures.
True.
Camels and elite skirms isn't really going to achieve much, even if I get into your base.
It's like probably some of the worst things to kill Vils.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. It's all bonus damage. And yeah, I think DauT may be realizing here that he just simply doesn't have enough to compete with Viper. He took too much damage.
There it is.
And I think the GG is called here. Viper wins 3-1 on day 1. May be expected, but I'd say a lot more to come from DauT.
Oh, without a doubt, pun intended, I guess. But yeah, I mean, look, it's always a good show between these two players. I think it's a very hot start for the Viper. There's always questions about, any of our players' form coming into a tournament, but as you consider Viper maybe one of the premier picks to be a contender, especially against the likes of someone like Hera, while I think people are really starting to work in their minds to try and figure out who will be the person, to knock Hera down a peg. Viper will always be a name that's resurfaced. But his form is the thing. How will he be coming into the tournament? How practiced is he on these settings and in this format? And this is a great vote of confidence on day 1, but still plenty of runway left to go for all of our players.
Yeah, you got to love it. They're talking about certain moment in the game, maybe first game or two. He's like, well, I thought I'd have the time with my fish in the back with Malay, and then you went forward DauT. It was perfect. Tato bringing in. Is he giving DauT a beer right now?
Oh, this is... There it is. Oh, was that a beer rejection from the Lord?
Tato.
In favor of hydration?
I like how the beer is going to the person who lost right now.
Yeah. It's not a celebratory. Oh, it is it ended up being a celebratory one in the end.
Yeah, it was a best of 5 for NAC, but also for the beer.
Yeah, amazing camaraderie, though, between all three of those guys. Teammates and friends for a long time.
And I think I agree with your comment on the Viper. I know you'll talk to him here in a second.
Yeah.
I think his shape's fantastic. That loss from Viper is not a loss that's going to worry him at all. He's going to feel like the strat from DauT was actually pretty good, and maybe he needs to make a couple small adjustments. If you look at Viper's performances where he has maybe underperformed or just hasn't won at all, it's literally just been more of a stamina issue. Maybe things got a little sloppy here. To me, it looked very sharp. Wasn't the longest series ever. We'll see longer ones from him this tournament, hopefully.
Oh, for
sure. But yeah, I thought he looked good. So that's like for a Viper fan, it's a really good, comfortable series. You do wonder, though, if, like, that's been a matchup that's a comfort zone for Viper for a very long time.
That's the thing.
So it's like even Viper on an off day might just be so comfortable that you're not going to see him really brought to the same level of test.
No, absolutely. And the makeup of this specific set of 10 players sports very different strengths and weaknesses across the board, right? And so while you're exactly like you're saying, this is a matchup where it played to expectation. This is a matchup where it looked very clean.
Yep.
This same level of play against a different style may not result in the same thing.
The Age of Empires food chain is very interesting.
Yeah.
Right? This person counters this person counters this person.
Yep.
Even people like outside of the top 10 who do very well against someone who's maybe in the top 4 here, So
yeah.
But yeah, that's a whole nother thing.
Wishful thinking. I get it, T90. I get it.
No, not me. Thanks, bro.
Okay, can I get your final thoughts on the day? We just concluded day 1. Did everything go to chalk? Did anything massively surprise you?
I was very, very impressed with the level that everyone brought today. There was an exception or two. It would be unfair because I think there's so few exceptions to name names.
Yeah.
So we won't do that. But I thought everyone was really sharp, and I thought everyone adapted very well to the situation, which is so understated. Like, we expect players to bring a certain level.
Yeah.
And we freak out if there's a slight misplay. But they've traveled on flights. They've ruined sleep schedules. They're here in a new place. So I thought it was a really good first.
No, I think we're beautifully set up for an incredible group stage. We heard Hera talking about it earlier today in an interview. He specifically loves Swiss stages because he knows that he will be playing against another person who won today.
Yep.
And kind of the way that builds intensity of playing someone who has your record all the way through makes the race for the playoffs all that much more interesting. I see Viper taking a seat over there, so I'm going to go set up for the interview. We're going to send you to a quick commercial break. When you come back, I'll be with the Snake himself.
And now, a word from our partners. The rise of modern technology takes its toll on all of us. Hours and hours at your desk leads to stiff necks, aching shoulders, sore lower backs. But there is a solution. Back Force. The Back Force 1 Plus doesn't just stand like a rock on the digital battlefield, it transforms the way you sit. With Gamer Pulse LED lighting lasting up to 20 hours, this chair is more than just a seat. It's a throne. Personalize it with patches for your nickname, clan tag, or any custom text. Because your chair should be as unique as you are. Every Backforce chair comes in a wide variation in colors, including this noble white and gold or black and gold colorway, and the Gamerlegion Special Edition. Sit like a king with Backforce.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm here with the victorious TheViper. At the end of the day, it's kind of kismet because we got to kick off the day together.
True.
And where I asked you about your expectations, asked you about the matchup that you just took in 3-1 fashion. Do you feel like everything has matched the expectation that you laid out at the beginning of the day?
I would say so, yeah. I don't think anything has been massively surprising. So the day has been fairly predictable and as expected. I don't think there was any major upsets, right?
No, I don't think by what we would maybe consider to be the power rankings coming in.
Actually, Vinches Yo was a really close set, so that was probably the highlight. But otherwise, yeah, it's been a very competitive day.
Okay. Well, let's talk about the approach to going up against DauT. As we talked about earlier, somewhat strategically similar, obviously super familiar with each other. We did have some of the joking off camera as you guys were sitting in the chair where DauT was maybe even teasing you about the draft. But what's your side of that story? How do you feel about how you each came to the series?
DauT was sitting in his chair to practice for the winner's interview. Exactly. That's what he was trying to do. No, I mean, yeah, there's always mind games. I think I confused DauT a little bit with my draft, so it kind of worked out for me. Otherwise, a lot of things predictable. Civ picks on every map was pretty much as I predicted as well, or expected, so wasn't really any big surprises for me after the draft, and performance-wise was pretty fine. I think he played very well as well, so it was a good set.
Sweet. Well, we'll start rolling through some of the clips, each of the games one by one. As you kind of mentioned, it did feel from the outside that there was a cleanliness and a smoothness to your game today. I don't know if it was a matter of, calling the shots the whole way through and that there wasn't so much surprising that was forcing you to adapt. But straight out the gate from here, while we had a number of even trades, it just kind of felt, in the end, you were ultimately eking out small advantages here.
Yeah, actually, this I did not predict that he would use Burgundians here, so that was a bit surprising.
Okay.
But I feel like Burgundian, I mean, they should be solid on this map, but Hans just got so much initiative, and once you get the Cav archers rolling, I think it's really hard for Burgundians, so it was a very smooth. I mean, he built a Seabrook shop in my vision as well, so like, it wasn't a big surprise for me. If he caught me off guard like that, maybe he can still win it, but yeah, once I saw the Siege Workshop and my cast stage time was matching his, I felt very comfortable.
So if Siege Workshop wasn't in vision, was it on your radar?
Yeah, you obviously can always have to. I also did damage to him, right? I killed a couple of vills, so I felt like he definitely has to try and do something, right? You cannot just let the Cav archers overwhelm him. So it was something on my mind, but he went very aggressive with it, so I didn't expect that.
Yeah, absurdly aggressive. Of course, had the benefit as well of having that stone where you could drop the extra TC. So in the end, as the trades kind of continued to work out in fairly even fashion for military numbers, we saw that villager, count continue to climb. And Cav Archer numbers continue to climb. Mobility and range, I feel like already is starting to set itself apart in this tournament. Do you still feel like in a lot of ways that's maybe the most powerful way to play the game?
It depends on the maps as well, right? But on that map with that Civ matchup, yeah, mobility. I mean, mobility is always good, right? You cannot go wrong with mobility, especially with a Civ like Hans, right?
And come on now. Come on now.
What?
You having some fun on day one?
Of course.
Okay.
DauT was having fun as well, so there we go.
So Armenians, this is a pick DauT's gone for before, not always successfully. One of the things that T90 and I were talking about, though, is the conviction that DauT has in strategies and confidence in certain picks to even go for things that maybe hadn't worked out in the past. And this time around, while it wasn't the same matchup that he had lost in previously, he did come out on top with Armenians. Yeah. What did you make of this matchup, and why Malians into this if the expectation was Armenians over here?
So, I mean, Malians, in my opinion, should win late game here. I feel like I messed up I trickled in so many bomber cannons that got sniped by his trebuchets. I feel like if I just keep 3-4 of them alive and group them up and then go out to start shooting his trebs, I can like shut this down instantly, right? But in the end, I was sitting here like with 1 and 2 bomber cannons, and they always got sniped by his trebs. He had a lot of trebs, to be fair.
This was about the moment where it looked like maybe you were turning it. Yes, some of your bomber cannons get sniped, but such an investment into trebs that the composite bowman numbers, right? We were like, well, at a certain point, if all you have is trebs, maybe you can't end the game. But then the amazing tech switch into the champions in the end to close it out. That's going to bring us here to Arabia. This, we felt, mirrored game one almost entirely. Did you feel the same way?
It wasn't entirely similar, right? Obviously, the Civ matchup makes this play out a bit different. I was surprised to see him with a range, given how he was walling up so early, right? So I was expecting him to just play stable into fast castle. That's why I wanted to put pressure with... Well, why does he try? I think I won the game right here. This is where I won.
Was it just mental destruction at that point?
Yeah, no, but it worked out. I mean, his castle timing was very good, given that he used the market.
Right.
But I was fully walled myself at home. I had a sneaky army ready to counterattack, and I felt like no matter what he's going to send my way, because he lost quite a few skirms in feud lanes, so it wouldn't be an overwhelming army. So I just needed to not take damage immediately, and then I should be fine.
Yeah, again, I think there was just a smoothness to the play today on your end. In each case, I mean, for me, what mirrored in game one was your ability to still find a little bit of feudal age damage, keep the pressure on his side, and then to keep units alive. I think is one of the things that has been largely impressive. Those 6 scouts remaining alive into the castle age, the opening on the front of the base, and then diving in onto that gold 2 times over. Felt like just enough damage. You know, to kind of push the game or tilt it in your favor.
Yeah, I mean, with the eco damage I did, I knew I was ahead in the economy because I added town centers myself fairly early on. And I just, again, I knew that if I take a bad fight, it could snowball out of control. But as long as I keep trading somewhat evenly, I should be massively ahead. And I see we skipped the tide pool game, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, it's all good. We don't have to talk about it.
Did you have something you want to say about it?
No, it's all good.
Because the floor is yours if you want.
No.
Okay.
I think it was a fun game.
How as you mentioned, to a degree, most of the day kind of going maybe to expectation. Again, people should go watch that Yo Vinchester series for sure if you did miss it. As you're starting to get your first looks though at everybody at the tournament, how are you already beginning to reevaluate kind of your perspective on the field?
I don't think it has changed too much from day one. Yo is actually always a slow starter. True. Every NAC kind of like has a bit of a rough 2-3 first sets, and then he always comes strong. I mean, he got to the final in the old NAC, not the new NAC, but I think everyone is delivering a fairly high level, and I think those guys that lost 3-0 today as well, like SSM and DauT, they're going to come back strong tomorrow. So I think the field is very strong, and it's going to be competitive game sets no matter what.
Earlier today, Mem was talking to Hera about any opponents maybe he's looking forward to face. From there, though, it went more to a discussion about kind of the way that a Swiss stage pairs players. What is your kind of perspective on Swiss stage and knowing, all right, I kicked off with a series win today, but that means I'm playing, my opponent is projected to be at least on the tougher half of opponents by record tomorrow, and kind of how that might ramp up.
The bad thing for me now is DauT is my Buchholz, so it's like, that's a bit rough, right? But that's
the dreaded Buchholz.
Exactly. No, I have faith in DauT to bring me some points there. No, I love Swiss system because it makes you also play like a lot of tough guys in the early stage, right? You'll have me and Lear. I think I have Lear tomorrow, if I understand correctly. Someone said so earlier.
Oh, are the matchups already decided?
I don't know.
I got to get my hands on some matchups.
I just heard rumors.
Okay.
Anyway, if I face Leary in a normal tournament, it's usually like quarterfinal, semifinal, right? And now I get day 2, potentially Leary, potentially Hera, potentially Tado, all the winners of the sets, right? So it brings a lot of excitement and the tough sets early on, which is different from other tournaments. So I really enjoy it personally.
Tough sets and exciting sets at that. Well, you kind of pulled double duty today, like I said, opening the show with me, closing the show with me. I'm sure you want to get some rest tonight. And so thank you once again. Congratulations on the victory. Can't wait to see you match up tomorrow.
Thank you.
And with that, y'all, that's going to conclude our first day of the Noble Apartment Cup group stage. And so as we shut down the studio here tonight and gear up for day 2 tomorrow, which hopefully you'll be here to join us, we're going to send you to the Leyenberger Golden Crisp moment of the day. Take a look.